War.
Well. How is everybody doing tonight? A little bit of news today, slightly. Maybe another failed attempt by the FTC to delay this acquisition that is now inevitable. Activision Blizzard will belong to Microsoft. Not only that, today is a little bit of a special day for our channel as well, because I happened to look earlier and I noticed, hey, we have been in existence now as a channel for exactly 3 years. So it is our 3-year anniversary here on Fun Speculation. And thanks to everybody who in the chat has been a part of this for the last 3 years and been coming to hang out and watch our shows. And what a day for the 3-year celebration now for our channel to have ABK, the final attempt at the FTC fail. It's a matter of time. They could potentially close tomorrow at the latest Monday, and we're all gonna have some fun here, and I'm looking forward to it. The energy is gonna be on another level probably for this show. And making her return to the show for the first time in a while to celebrate 3 years in this momentous occasion of ABK is first in my heart, my lovely wife, Caitlin. Hey, baby.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up with your picture?
Isn't it so cute?
It got me. I was
You
like,
know you love it.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for giving me a hand earlier.
what?
We're giving you a what?
Yep,
You're welcome, Psycho.
There was no Y at the end of that, right? I'm just making sure I heard correct.
He threw some hundreds at me after.
Okay.
Av, were you filming it?
No.
Okay.
No, I was not. We're not celebrating that much. Okay. Thanks for being here, babe. I saw you posted a couple of pieces of artwork for the community already on Twitter to celebrate today.
It's a little fun.
Yeah, you got achievement unlocked, 100% Xbox belongs to ABK, and special one out there for King David. Shout out to King, who held the line, achievement unlocked as well. And awesome job on the thumbnail, as usual, hon.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And then we got this amazing panel, and I got to say, thanks to you, babe, also for helping me get this thing started 3 years ago as well.
Oh, of course.
All the work you do, like for every thumbnail, for every show, we do 3 a week, and all that kind of stuff is absolutely amazing. So thank you.
Happy to help.
Fuzzy, man, what a day! What a day!
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time coming. Finally got the through the thick of it, I guess you could say, when it comes to the FTC getting grilled yesterday, and justice prevailed. But man, it's the beginning of the excitement, because from here on forward, man, this is going to be the stuff of dreams and, legacy stories about the gaming industry from here to who knows when. But glad to be here with you guys celebrating that 3-year anniversary. And man, we got a lot to talk about today. So let's have at it.
Definitely going to be a fun show. 3-Bit, who was actually the first panelist here on Fun Speculation that wasn't my wife. Greatly appreciate you being part of this the last 3 years, bro. And yeah, welcome to the show.
Yeah, wow, 3 years. It's insane. Have I been on that long?
You came on like episode 17 or something like that, and you've been here ever since, I think. So,
Dang.
So it's been like for you 2 years and 9 months.
Except for those like 2 years that you disappeared and didn't show up. But,
right.
Who's counting
besides,
those, right? 3
besides that. Wow. But no, it's been a really great time being on this channel. Of course, everybody here, we're all family, and wow, another 3 years to come. So let's keep it going. This ABK thing that's happened, we're all excited about talking about it. It's been we've been talking about it for a whole year, and we're probably going to keep talking about new acquisitions after this. So, we're going to keep it going, and everybody in chat, you guys are awesome. Let's get it going.
Yeah, it's fun times to come for sure. Psycho, what's up, bro?
What is up? What a freaking day it's been. Everybody on pins and needles waiting for this ruling to come through, and we all thought possibly in a witching hour that we were hearing something, but no, we got it live during Xbox 2. I was watching that and I was like, holy shit, are you serious? So yeah, it was this is a special occasion, and it's a special occasion. It's our 3-year anniversary here. Such an amazing ride in those 3 years starting off. Congrats to you and Kate for doing such an amazing job and getting the channel where it is today, and hats off to you guys.
Yeah, you're a big part of that, and every single one of you.
Yeah, y'all are.
Yeah,
a massive part of that.
Appreciate you guys for sure.
Kate, I can't take the butt cheeks serious.
It almost looks like bubble gum that's being blown up in a way, right? Bubble butt.
Or
Hey.
if you like turn it upside down like a pair of nuts, maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sure.
Upside down.
Is that better though? But
Jasper, thanks for being here as well, dude.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I might get a special birthday gift of Microsoft buying Activision. That would be a gift that a lot of people don't get.
You'll remember that one forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday,
You
bro.
always remember your first.
Okay.
You're the same age as me, right, Jasper? Or
I'll be 27.
27? Okay.
You're older, I think.
A year older, I think.
That's him.
You're just the old man. But other than that, doing pretty good. So yeah.
It's and thanks to you too for being part of this, bro. Appreciate you. Pong Soul, we had a record show for us last night on PM of the PM. That was without this news today. We had already known about this first FTC loss. Now we got another FTC loss, and we had a blast on.
I appreciate the shout out on there. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Of course, brother.
Yeah, everybody, make sure you check out 3Bits video that he's probably spent way too much time on, but it's absolutely awesome. He created a in-engine Unreal Engine Satya Phil Spencer show that he's going to be doing episodically about acquisition and stuff.
Jim Ryan's next.
Console Wars. Yeah, but how you doing, Pong?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, man. First of all, congratulations to you and Caitlin on 3 years. Obviously, just a freaking huge accomplishment. How many people have started channels and been gone before they ever were known, right? And here you guys are 3 years later, just thriving, right? That's special, and it's all due to you guys and all the energy and effort you've put into it. So, man, just congrats to both of you, and love you, and just respect for everything that you guys have built and your relationship and everything that you've given this community, and for giving me a spot on your channel as well, which has been awesome again for the past couple years. So absolutely, just beautiful, just really beautiful to see. And 3 years in, we've been talking about this ABK deal for half of it. Time. That's freaking insane. 18 months plus we've been talking about this ABK deal. So for half this channel's life, that has been a topic because we never stopped covering it. Lots of people went away from it. Lots of people got sick and tired of it. We never stopped. We were one of the channels that were fascinated by it. Almost, I think everybody in all of our panels were fascinated by this deal to some degree. And we always came with the conversation. It's kind of a bittersweet moment right now that we're getting this close to the end with the news today. Obviously, just this is not just big for Xbox and Microsoft. Obviously, it's a huge piece of their future, which we've talked about. But we've also brought up the fact that this is going to shape the industry that we're here covering all the time. That's why we do this, is going to be shaped by this deal for years and years and years to come. down the road, decades to come. We're going to look back at this one. So what a day. Absolutely incredible. Again, I was obviously at work. I had Xbox 2 on, but I had to leave. I couldn't listen because I had a bunch of shit go down. And then I saw it on Twitter, of course. And then I had to go back and rewatch Xbox 2 again. Congratulations, man, for getting on Xbox 2 today, too. Just a huge panel. It's just awesome. Everybody coming back, COG coming back, Paris coming back, Colt coming back, just to celebrate the news dropping live that they had gotten, that the FTC's motion was denied. And we all know now it's just a matter of days, and they're going to close this thing. Nothing is going to stop them. So it is kind of bittersweet after all this talk that we've had, all these great shows that we've had. Again, record-breaking show last night on PM to PM, and there wasn't even like explosive news, and we still had her. That's just the energy that's been going on around this thing, and for it all finally coming together, man. Let's do this. Let's talk about this stuff. Let's get excited for what this means down the road. Again, doom and gloomers, we'll find out if you get your way in the end 20 years from now, and all of a sudden, it's a dystopian industry. I think more likely it's going to be our way, where we see this as meaning big things. So let's get into it, Matt. But again, congrats, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you, Pong. Alvin hit us with a $10 super chat. Says, during a tumultuous 19 months where my confidence in the deal wavered between 100% and 100%. It's nice to finally have closure. Congrats on 3 years. Appreciate you, Alvin, always for the amazing support. Jigga J hit us with a $2. Says, happy anniversary. Thank you, Jigga, as well. You guys all in the chat rock, and this community has been nothing short of amazing for the support that they've shown to our channel over the last couple of years and help us grow. And we got many years to come. And I see a lot of people like, I'm so excited that there's not going to be any more ABK talk. Let me tell you, the ABK talk really is just kind of getting started, because once the acquisition is over, then we have a lot of fun speculation about what does this mean? When are we going to get these games to Game Pass? What game is Diablo going to get like cross-buy support? Battle.net. What's going to happen with that, and the implementation with Xbox and the mobile side? And there's so many different aspects to this deal where it's going to impact Xbox. This is a transformational acquisition for Xbox. It's not just another ZeniMax Bethesda. It's not another small studio. This is a big time acquisition. $70 billion, the largest in Microsoft history, the largest in gaming history as well. So this means a lot, not only for Xbox now, but like Pong said, for the industry going forward. This is going to have ramifications. So we'll be talking about this still for a long time, and I'm excited about it. And it did go down how a lot of us did, and there's a lot of doom and gloomers, a lot of naysayers out there. There's a lot of people that have not wanted this deal to go through, and to be honest with you, I don't have any patience for it. There's no point. It's ridiculous. It's a whole biased, one-sided thought process to think that this is bad for the industry. And you see the same energy come out from the same people that have been putting that BS, talking shit on Xbox for a long time. They did never want to see Xbox have a huge win like this. Xbox had to battle all this regulatory process. They had to battle a lot of the media out there trying to put that negative energy out there, and then some other circus people in the community as well. But now this is happening. Nothing's going to stop it. The CMA thing is the last little bit that we don't know if that's just going to mean they're going to close on Saturday or Monday with that, and what that's going to look like in the UK for the UK consumers. But man, this is a big day. Thoughts?
And really shout out real quick too, Mav. Sorry, didn't mean to die, but real quick too to Microsoft for being willing to divest themselves of Major Nelson to get this deal done. Right? that obviously was that was a big sticking point in this deal, but they got it done.
Hey man, Larry, it's been a
on a ride
right now.
But the UK's got issues with you. I don't know what it is, but they asked for something, so we can throw you to the bus. Maybe you can catch on somewhere. And it is funny, for that to happen the same day, though. But and shout out to Larry Herb.
Yeah, shout out to Major Nelson. 20 years, plus. Just incredible run. Obviously, great content. Just a staple of Xbox. Just an incredible dude. So yeah, shout out to him. Sorry, man.
He's like, okay, Phil, I'll fall on the sword, or we'll be going and I'll find a gig somewhere. Yeah, Larry
I'm
Herb's
mad.
awesome.
Incredible member of the
Yeah,
community as
yeah.
well.
Matt, I was told that Canada could be the thorn in Xbox side. They could just ravel the whole thing, and that's it. It's game over once Canada makes.
I don't even know why Canada bothered with that whole thing.
I
That
don't
was
know, dude.
That was a
Because
Jason
they want to be
Schreier.
relevant.
Jason Schreier tweet today. It was like, well, there's still Canada.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Canada's gonna throw a wrench in the deal at last minute and be like, "Well, you can't close yet. You see, oh, it's not gonna happen on our watch, you hosers." I don't think it's gonna happen. Canada
No.
pretty much wasted too much time. And
No, today's was not the appeal that was denied. It was for the
preliminary,
what was
the stay of the
justification?
preliminary injunction
yeah.
decision or whatever.
Yeah. So they have what till the 18th, correct?
The 18th is the
Tuesday.
deadline to close.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So the FTC they don't, I guess they have up until the 18th to say something or try to do something.
The FTC is done, dude. The FTC.
I know that, but there's just because Tom Moore or Tom Henderson mentioned something. It was Tom Moore. Tom Moore mentioned something about that the appeal is still
So
it's that
No.
was not.
well,
The appeal is
But-
done. The appeal is done because if they close, Psycho, there's no
Mhm.
appeal. They can't appeal.
right.
Right.
So that's done. That's why they needed this TRO was to allow them to go forward with the appeal process. Now that the TRO is done expiring, right, and they don't get that, now Microsoft can just close. That's why everybody's expecting them to close on Monday because that throws out the whole appeal process. There's no reason to appeal. The appeal was for the injunction prior to them closing to keep them from doing that.
Yeah, so if they're
Once
closed, there
close,
can be no
it's
preliminary
done.
injunction.
Correct. The only thing they can do is go forward with the full case, right, and take it to federal court, and then try to win there, and then have Microsoft undo the deal, right?
And if it
That's
wasn't for the
last-
CMA, they probably would
I think
close
what's
right now.
Like what we're talking about was Tom Moore made a tweet saying, I see a lot of folks confused getting this wrong. The FTC hasn't just lost its appeal against the FTC Microsoft ruling. It's been denied its injunction relief. That would have restricted Microsoft from closing the Activision deal until
Right.
the results of the appeal.
right. So they
So-
they lose both at the same time
Yeah.
because this
Right.
didn't go through.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause the appeal
That's-
basically becomes
That's what I
irrelevant.
wanted to know.
Yeah, it's
All right.
irrelevant. Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, good
Yep.
to know.
So yeah, the preliminary injunction request and was denied now. So
Good.
Xbox is closing over the FTC, basically,
Yeah.
which we've been saying was going to happen for a very long time now. People
Yes.
said we were crazy for thinking that, but we pointed out that Microsoft told us that's what they were going to do from the start.
Yep.
And then they said they were going to offer the same remedies that they were offered in the EU, which they had probably tried to offer to the FTC, which the FTC said, no, we can't accept those. We need to go ahead and try and block you. And so guess what? The FTC right now gets no remedies. They don't get anything, which is what we said a long time ago as well. The
only
only
thing the FTC was going to accept was them not buying Activision.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bottom line.
The only concessions and remedies that have been accepted to this point so far has been from the EU, the EC, right? European Commission. And those is where they got the cloud deals and stuff like that. They're going to be able to bring their games to the cloud and all that. But the CMA so far, there's going to be some kind of thing there. So the CMA is going to be granted some kind of divestiture or whatever of some part of the cloud aspect. And there's already thoughts about maybe EE, which is a service provider there. And we remember that Xbox did make a cloud gaming deal with them, even though they're not involved with cloud gaming currently as well. So that makes sense. They were maybe getting the ball rolling on that already. And that's probably going to be what they're going to do is just kind of shut down xCloud there, go through EE. And like we talked about as a possible solution, maybe offer that service on Xbox, right? That would be a workaround, and that would have the same end result to the Xbox consumers in the UK. It would just be from another service provider.
Yeah.
Buzzy. Big day.
Oh yeah.
Do you think like this is like, I mean, this is a done deal, right? But like, what do you
Yeah.
do you think they can close on Saturday, or do you think they're gonna wait till Monday to see what happens with the CMA?
I think Monday will be when they announce it. The paperwork, as far as I would understand, with the removal from NASDAQ, the paperwork is already being processed. So by opening markets Monday, they can make an announcement. Now the UK, on the other hand, is something that's still kind of a work in progress. But to my understanding, it was put in a process, or put in a status that would allow them to still close and kind of, remedy things, after the fact. Because it looks like whatever they were going to do as far as the deal with the EE is acceptable enough without having to reinvestigate. I mean, yeah, there was some posturing and some odd, posts by the CMA, but it looks like it's them trying to make it look like they're in control, when it really comes down to, hey, we either don't have the service in your country at all, and you have a lot of people pissed off at you guys, or we push it through this third party, which we're fine with. We're still getting paid. They get to make some money, and you get to look like the good guys, I guess. And we're going to close this deal. So the only thing stopping them would be something catastrophic to this planet. And aside from that, I don't think there's anything else, even afterwards, that is going to come back to bite them in the butt type of deal. I think once the markets open on Monday and, money is exchanged, some paperwork is signed, and, things are handed over, then it becomes the ticking clock of, golden parachute guy getting pushed out the door. Whether it's, 1 week, I doubt it's that quick, but, I give him 6 months or less before Bobby Kotick is pushed out the door. He'll help with the transition of stuff. He'll probably be training his replacement, or having his replacement shadow him if they're not already, someone within their walls type of thing. And then from there, it just comes down to, okay, what can we do with Game Pass now without having to put a lot of extra effort? Like, the back compat stuff will come, but I think that might be up to a year away, depending on how busy things are with the organization as far as other behind the scenes things. But whatever they can do firsthand, probably just short of having Diablo appear on Game Pass, like effectively, within this month, I think those will be the first batch of things we see. And then, each month or each week, maybe we'll see something new. Oh, this is in the Game Pass, or this is now part of your subscription with Game Pass. You now have access to these other things with BattleNet, or you have, this other content that may, because depending on if Sony decides that they want to completely, do scorched earth with their deal, and continue this, charade as far as not giving them the dev kits and things. I think the next step from there is just, what content can we now hand to the Xbox community that may have been, held up or whatnot without breaking contract, unless Sony decides to, burn everything down on their side of things. So
yeah,
this is a done deal. I'll have my $95 a share come probably Tuesday. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So
what did you buy in at? What did you get in? Was it like in the 60s?
I bought in at 68. And originally
Nice.
I bought 500 shares.
Wow.
And I took my retirement Corvette money and put that in there. And and then when things were getting a little shaky, I pulled 400 of it out. But I still made something like $7 to $10. Well, after fees, it was about $7 and change I made off of those shares. So I kind of lost a decent amount, but I'm still walking away with, like, I think it's going to be, after all fees, an extra $3,000.
Nice.
Off of
Nice.
it. And
Nice.
I'll
you get a little bit
some of the
better
other stuff
better
I've rolled
Corvette
into
now.
Microsoft. Hmm?
You get a little bit better Corvette now.
Yeah. Oh, I think my eyes originally were for like the C7 Z06 when I set the money aside. C8 Z06 is a little out of my price range, and maybe even the E-Ray. But
God damn.
I still want to do the museum delivery. That's like before my bucket list, or before I'm in the ground, I'm getting that Corvette, museum delivery thing. But keep in mind, I've been saving for probably 20 plus years to do that. Couple Camaros, couple Mustangs in the meantime, but it was always like, okay, after the kids are finished college or close to finishing college and we can get that squared away, then Papa will be driving his vet or something to that effect.
That's awesome to hear, man. I'm happy for you on that, dude. Shout out to Anonymous Boss with the $10. Says, get the ponies out of here. P.S. Where are those magic cookies, Mav? They're in the other room, man. I got to remember to bring them in here next time, because today would be the day I should have them. Lord Roughness hit us with a £5. Appreciate you, Lord Roughness. Says, hi, guys. I'm a big UK soccer fan. This week has been like half celebrating a goal, but then waiting on the VAR to really celebrate. Big up Xbox. Right on, man. I honestly have not a lot of soccer knowledge.
Soccer knowledge.
What do you mean? We watched Ted Lasso.
That's true. And I have about as much soccer knowledge as Ted Lasso did when he took the job. That's about right. Rob the Don 202 with the $5. Appreciate you. Said, I'm mad at the FTC, EU, CMA. None of these fools made Microsoft Xbox lock in the Game Pass prices for consumers' benefit. Yeah, the things that we kind of put out there early on about possible concessions, there's like nothing, man. It's like nobody had any. Well, we don't care,
It felt like they had to educate the regulators first. A lot of the regulators didn't even know about the gaming industry. That's why for this case it was so interesting to me. It was the regulators are like, what? There's an Xbox, there's a PlayStation. It really felt like for the first time these regulators are getting an inside to the industry, the gaming industry. So a lot of the things that we would possibly be like, hey, maybe you should put as a consumer benefit to not do certain things with Game Pass. That would be a pretty good concession in my book. I do agree with that, but they are not super educated to even think about something like that.
It showed in the case how uneducated they were about the industry.
Yeah.
Jim Ryan in the chat says, Mav, I'm worth $255 million. I could take your girl. Is that true, babe? Could Jim Ryan take you for
$255 million sold?
Wow. Okay.
There was
like
no
that.
thought.
That's not how I thought that would go down, honestly.
Well, see, what could happen is
Everyone has a price.
nope. Have her marry him and then divorce him and get half.
Right?
And then come crawling back. Does she have to sleep with him though? Like that's
it's an indecent proposal. I mean, you have to go all the way. So yeah.
You got to consummate the marriage,
If that happens, I don't know if I'd take her back.
What if I'm coming back with that much money though?
I don't know. It's tainted at that point, especially from Jim Ryan. I mean, gross.
Yeah, Jim Ryan.
It's gonna last more.
Phil Spencer, maybe we'll.
Oh my god!
Just say
okay.
You're willing
hey,
out for Phil Spencer. That's
so
interesting. Wow.
Okay, Adam,
hell no.
Yeah,
No,
this
not even
episode,
for
so if there's a divorce court that comes along, you don't have to replay all this.
Oh man. Shout out to JMac for the $2. Appreciate you. Says Xbox World Order is fully operational. #XWO. Yeah, I gotta thank Rand for letting me hop on Xbox 2 earlier too when this news broke out. It was crazy. Like first nobody believed it. And we were in the chat and everybody was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I did not believe it.
And he was like, hey, people that want to come in. I was like, let me in. And he actually let me in. So it was like a bucket list moment today, getting to go on Xbox 2 podcast today as well. And with a lot of the great people in the Xbox community to celebrate this. Vik The CLiCK says, Mav's the new Adam 22. LOL, don't do it. I'll clown you forever. Don Sicario says Mav 22. Is that the guy that was trending because his
yes, he let his wife go outside the marriage. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think he would trend more if it was Jim Ryan that did it?
No.
No.
For PlayStation, yeah, they would love that. They'd eat that shit up.
Yeah, they would have something to celebrate. right now. There's a lot of sad PlayStation people out there.
They're
today
quiet again.
Who
Oh,
still
yeah.
thinks that they're gonna
Cleared
make
out.
Call of Duty exclusive. Like I don't understand. But I gotta ask you, babe. Like you know, you've heard us talking a lot about the last 18 months and stuff about ABK and stuff. Are you excited that now we don't have to pay for Call of Duty games potentially in the future, at least?
Yeah, that's exciting. For sure.
I mean, that's,
Yeah, she sounds enthusiastic.
you're on mute, Pong.
I said she's counting 255 million. Don't bother right now.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a millionaire. It doesn't fucking matter if I have to pay for a fucking game. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right.
She's a PlayStation girl now.
She's never played a PlayStation.
Never.
Really? Ever?
Oh wow,
Even
really?
held a controller.
And I've had one ever since we've been
And
together.
you're
She's
probably-
never cared to touch it.
And you probably hold it better than Jim Ryan.
She would know
Yeah.
how to hold the
Oh,
controller better
oh,
than
yeah.
Jim
Yeah,
Ryan.
she can play games. Yes.
I don't know. I was a learning curve, even like starting to play on Xbox.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's
You're
just
fine.
it's just a weirder feeling controller that makes weird feelings in your hands when you try and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Haptics.
Massages your hand.
Yeah.
You can blow in it.
Huh?
Dova says she's a keeper. Yeah. I know she's a keeper for sure. 3-bit, how you feeling, man? What does this mean for you now, like for Xbox?
I mean, some people point this out, but in terms of Call of Duty, and well, for me, I'm excited about the titles that didn't get the most of the limelight because most of the studios are now currently working on Call of Duty. So I'm excited about the potential of other IPs coming back. That's mostly what I'm excited about. Just because we know like Phil's like, hey, I really like this IP, and we heard the news about like StarCraft. Like those are the things that the current Activision Blizzard, they focus most of their attention on Call of Duty because that's what makes a lot of money. So yeah, I mean that's always what I've personally been excited about the deal. Everything else, I mean Call of Duty, it's like it's okay for me. It's fun to play with like friends and stuff. I don't play as often as some other games. So I don't know. It's like Call of Duty, all the Call of Duties being in Game Pass is a big deal also. Just being able to just jump in and play those games without paying for it.
I think
Amazing,
though,
right?
a lot of people are
But-
kind of like, if you go back and play like the 360 games, like every lobby just about you get in, it has some modded hacker because they still have modded 360s where they have God
Yes.
mode and can fly around. So like, that's
yeah, and I
always
do know
gonna be a
they said
problem.
they were starting to fix the servers, which in my head that they're just preparing for Game Pass. Like that's why I think they are starting to fix some of the stuff on the older games. So when it drops in Game Pass, they're like, oh, we got a flux of new players, and then they will have a decent experience. I know it's going to be kind of difficult trying to get rid of those hackers, but the whole deal to me has been eye-opening in terms of regulation for video games. We haven't got a lot of that. Well, almost in the history of video games, this is kind of like the big case. The last time I could think of, and we talked about this on other shows, was the Mortal Kombat case where we got our first M-rated video game, which was a long time ago. Ever since then, the video game industry has kind of been under the limelight, and a lot of things we speculated on, like we pointed out certain things that could be happening behind the scenes, but the fact that a lot of this stuff came to the limelight and we were right about a lot of that stuff was interesting. I'm always in the camp that I find this case is interesting. It's a moment in gaming history in terms of the case itself, in terms of the games that we're going to get. There's a lot of potential for a lot of games. I do think Call of Duty, that it's going to always be on other platforms. I'm not even really concerned about that or what have you, but I do think a lot of the other games that are not announced yet, newer IPs, those will probably be multi-plat or exclusive. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna close on Saturday as well. I know there's a court case with a cat appeal. Is that on Monday?
The cat has postponed the
They do have a hearing.
their thing.
They have a hearing
regarding the stay, right?
Is that later or is that
negotiate? That's next week as well.
next week? Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm
the
just wondering, like the whole sorry to cut you off, but I just think the whole CMA deal where they're just constantly trying to like push this deal, and to me it's very obvious, but I do know Microsoft, they are some of the best lawyers in the world, right? They have probably thought this of basically what's happening 10 steps ahead of where I'm thinking of this case. In terms of the CMA of how they're approaching this, to me is like the fact that you determine that you should block the deal off of barely 1% of the market, and you find that that's a great idea to try and block a global merger for 5,000 plus gamers. To me, it was always ridiculous. So I was always like, yeah, go fight it in the courts. That's always been my stance. Fight it in the courts, because it comes to light how stupid you are. Because when Microsoft comes with the facts and you're like, here's the data, here's what's actually happening, that's pretty much what happened with the FTC. But Microsoft chose to try and settle this. So I have a feeling what's going to happen is they're going to close it, and just meet later with the CMA, and we'll see. I think the cat has been watching this pretty closely too, so they've been following along, and I think it'll still be fine. I don't think the CMA will penalize based on the merits of the case, but I feel like they could close over and just deal later. But I would like to hear your guys' thoughts about that, obviously. But great day for Xbox.
Yeah. What is this
Yes.
cat thing? Can someone explain this right, Meow?
Oh my god.
The cat.
What does cat mean?
It's the competition authority tribunal.
Tribunal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the UK, and basically that's the organization that can have some kind of recourse against the CMA, right?
They oversee the CMA.
So the CMA,
in a way.
if like Microsoft appeals the CMA decision, which they had done before, it goes to CAT, and then that's where it's been at, right, in the UK, because the CMA was the other organization that attempted to block this acquisition, and so CAT's been, that whole proceedings been going on, and they've been discussing things and all that kind of stuff. And what happened the other day when FTC lost their case, when Judge Corley made her decision not to grant the preliminary injunction, immediately came out shortly afterwards that Microsoft and the CMA had requested CAT to hold off on those proceedings so they could negotiate something, where Microsoft had supposedly come up with an idea for a divestiture, meaning basically selling off a portion of their business or closing a certain portion of their business in order to appease the CMA and what they're wanting. Then the CMA came out and was like, "Oh, if you do that, I have to warn you." And they did this publicly, which is really weird. Again, we'll have to warn you that we have to do a whole brand new investigation on this because of one thing, and that's where we're at right now. But people are saying it looks pretty good for whatever this is to potentially get done on Monday with the CMA as well, because the CMA, even if they try and hold their fort and posture and all that kind of stuff, at the end of the day, they have no case and they'll lose in the long run, and they're just going to make themselves look bad. So I think they'll probably come to some kind of an agreement. And I am curious about that. Maybe Pong or somebody can explain. Like,
thanks for the explanation. I didn't really care. I just wanted to say right, Meow.
I know, but I am curious about where the CMA did say they have to investigate this whole new thing, whatever. I mean, are they going to really? What does that mean for closing? Because I mean, Microsoft has to close this deal. So they're not going to let the CMA stop them at this point.
No.
But what does that mean for the investigation of ongoing stuff within the CMA there? I'm just curious.
Nothing. It means that they can waste all the time that they want to, and it's not going to matter. Microsoft will pay fines. It doesn't matter. Now, there's some people suggesting they could even close the deal and just hold that portion, not officially close in the UK. I've seen that batted around. I don't know how that works with the agreement because the CMA was one of the agreed upon regulatory bodies that had to approve for the deal to go through. So I don't know how all that works. Obviously, we don't have the finer details of the complete contract between Microsoft and ABK. But there's just too many signs pointing that they're just going to close over the top of everybody and then parse it out with the CMA. The feeling is that the CMA is posturing right now. And a lot of the posturing was based upon the FTC and their case. And that the Hail Mary from the FTC that got shot down today, that got intercepted at the goal line, that pretty much blows the CMA's any position that they had out of the water. And that now they will be at the bargaining table trying to get a deal done. Again, as we talked about so many times, just trying to find a way out for everybody so nobody loses face at all. And they can back away from this deal with at least their head kind of held high and not their tail tucked between their legs. Even though most people will know what it is, the fact that they've gotten Microsoft to divest themselves of potentially the cloud market in the UK, they can consider that a win. And they can parade that around all they want to, and Microsoft will let them parade that all around. Again, that was never going to be a sticking point. Microsoft doesn't care. Again, I did go back and look at the stats, and it's something like literally like there's stats out there that say there's 5,000 xCloud users in the UK. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. All right. Okay. I'm sorry for those people, right? And I'm sorry for any UK gamers who eventually do want to use xCloud and may not be able to do that. Now, obviously, we don't know how this deal with like EE or whatever is going to work out to offer that. But okay, again, they're not going to let that tiny bump, that speck of sand in the road, deter them. So I think that at the end of the day, it's all posturing by the CMA. All of this was to delay more time, hoping that today the FTC would get a win, and then that obviously would be a huge sticking point, and they would be in line with the FTC's decision-making process. That's all they were trying to do, was align their timeframes with the FTC this entire time. So now that that's gone, they're going to cut a deal. I think the CMA knows this is inevitable. They know that they will be absolutely 100% blasted if they try to keep UK gamers from gaining the benefits of this deal by getting games into Game Pass like Call of Duty. They will be absolutely destroyed over there in their home country if they are seen as the bad guys who have, caused them. The rest of the world will have all the benefits, but the UK won't. That would not be good news, and they know that. So I think that eventually this is just going to get a deal cut, and CAT will approve it, CMA will approve it, and I don't think the investigation, whatever their investigation will be, will take more than maybe a week, and they'll say, okay, we're good.
Right.
So
yeah. Which wouldn't hold up the deal even with an investigation, right?
Right.
Were you saying, Psycho?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of obvious that all the steps the FTC was doing, like the deal got, Judge Corley denied them. So the CMA was like, oh yeah, let's make a deal. And then they heard about the appeal. To me, this is how I feel, the appeal. And then they're like, well, hold on, so it was like they're just stalling until the verdict of this so they can
I thought kind of the same thing, because it was weirdly public that they made that tweet. Like it was unnecessary public, and it was like they wanted the world to pay attention to it, including the potential 9th district appeals court of appeals, and
Lena gave him the call, right? And they coordinated all of this. No, it's not Lisa.
And she got roasted the other day, bro.
Dude.
Oh my god.
You seem to like losing.
There was some of them that was kissing her ass, though. If you watch,
I mean, all the Republicans roasted her, all the Democrats kissed her ass, pretty much. But I gotta say, like, the specifics of the roastings were pretty spot on. Randall Thor 19 hit us with $5.
Hey, shout out to Rand.
Shout out to Rand. He says it's a celebration. Thanks for joining today, Mav. But I gotta ask, where was Pong? We needed Pong Soul on XB2 today.
I'm devastated I couldn't be there, Rand, because I knew you would let me jump in if I was there. Unfortunately, work. Again, work is hell right now, and it's going to be for a long time. So I was listening, and then I had to come back, and actually I couldn't watch it live. I had to listen to it a little bit later, but I did go back and listen to all your reactions. Fabulous show, Rand. You did a fantastic job, sir, as the host with that many guests, which you normally don't have. You did an awesome job. Things went crazy, but you let it all kind of happen. And it was awesome. So great show, Rand. Sorry I couldn't be there today, brother. You know I would have been. Had I been free, I would have been in your chat. You know that. So
nearly 6 hour XB2 today. And it was so crazy because, you know, he had already had a large panel for this because of everything that's going on this week. And then, you know, he let people leave because, you know, people had to dip and stuff because it was going on so long. But then that news broke and everybody flooded back in and he let more people in, which was awesome. It was a hell of a time.
It was crazy to see, like, Jez didn't believe it to the point where he was starting blocking people in the chat. I was like, no,
block out because he thought they were trolling again because they had done that earlier in the show.
Jez and his quick trigger, I tell you.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, Rand, can you unblock everybody?
Yeah, but then he was like, but you know, they're gonna end up making it later on. They're gonna end up tearing it apart in the FTC. You know, I gotta say though, we gotta thank Jez and his pessimism for helping get this deal through.
It was like reverse psychology on the deal.
100%. I didn't want him at that point to say he had confidence because it would have went the reverse. You know, Jasper, you're usually pretty calm on this kind of stuff, but. Is this excite you at all? Like you're pretty tame.
Yeah, I've been the one that's been kind of more pushing for Activision to be bought by them. I would say early on because like a lot of people are like, "Hey, I would rather have Sega. I would rather have EA or whatever." I'm like, "No, I want Activision. I want Activision not just because Call of Duty. Like I play Call of Duty every year, but there's so many teams underneath Activision's umbrella that the potential of games to come out like in the next 10 years from them." It's just insane. They have 20 plus studios. Like each one of them makes their own game now. You got 20 games lined up on Xbox's first party. So it's like you're not just getting Call of Duty every year. You're getting 20 plus games now potentially.
And we just heard about StarCraft 3 is potentially in the works again.
Or a StarCraft IP.
Or a StarCraft IP. Right. So
StarCraft Ghost. Let's go.
StarCraft, now here's the thing. Like we know that Call of Duty is going to stay multi-plat. We assume like Diablo and, you know, I mean, there's not gonna be another Diablo for 10 years anyway. Right. So, you know, Diablo and all these other things, right, that are kind of ongoing, Overwatch and the big games that everybody was so worried about. Those are going to stay multi-plat, but like a StarCraft 3 is not known for being on PlayStation. Right.
It's not on any console either.
Right. It has been on console.
Been in the past.
It has been. Yeah. But it's not known as like, oh, this is like a big PlayStation game or whatever.
What console was StarCraft on?
N64.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Believe it or not, it was there.
Really?
And I believe PlayStation 1 as well.
StarCraft?
Yes. Yes, sir.
What?
Yes. Look it up again. I know for sure it was on the N64, but PS1, I do believe it also had a spot on there. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
I think StarCraft is probably the one IP that's known from them that could be exclusive, because everything else seems like it has a kind of already established community that's big and it's across multiple platforms, where StarCraft is kind of just known for PC players. And I think Xbox could incorporate that into the Xbox ecosystem pretty easily and make that an Xbox known IP.
Yeah, especially with the success of Age of Empires 2 coming back to console and all of the, you know, the RTS is making a comeback. Microsoft definitely could do that, or Xbox could definitely do that.
And
for sure.
There's examples of how to do that with a controller. It's not like some pretty good.
StarCraft is a lot closer to Age than Halo Wars is. So, I mean, they could do it.
Yeah, and if they need help, they can talk to the developers that have brought, you know, the other games to console now. Age 2 already hit, and we are anticipating Age 4. Probably
Yeah, I'm sure,
maybe
like,
later
now
this
that they're
year.
now that they're owned by Microsoft, I mean, I couldn't see them saying like only release this on PC. I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
but now that they own them, they're like, hey,
Well, if
we
they
also
do
want
like
this
the
on
years
Xbox.
tactics thing where there's like the first year, like they make it for PC and then it comes to Xbox.
Yeah,
But
I could see that happening with the studios that they now own. So,
But
And then-
if you're gonna start nowadays too, though, Jasper, if you're gonna start development on a game like that, you could also keep the consoles in mind
Yeah.
and develop from the ground up as well. Make it much easier for yourself, just knowing you're gonna put it there. Just like if they do World of Warcraft 2, I gotta believe they're gonna build it from the ground up with consoles in mind as well to make sure. So
There's that
Yeah,
Infinity Ward new IP game as well that's going to come, right?
Mhm.
That could be exclusive. And it's going to be hard to know exactly what they're going to do, but I kind of think they're going to make some of those games exclusive, and then the ongoing big franchises they'll keep status quo.
yeah, it's definitely going to take some time to like see like the outline and the roadmap that they have set, because for the first couple of years you're going to see that routine Call of Duty every year with all the studios working on it until they fully incorporate Activision into the Microsoft family.
gonna be
But
a
after
lot.
that, yeah,
Okay.
and BattleNet, they got to figure out what to do with BattleNet, right, on the PC
Oh, yeah.
side. So that's going to be a complex situation. They're going to incorporate it if they're just going to move, obviously Windows PC over to BattleNet, or if they're just going to, how are they going to do all that to make sure the storefronts are the same? There's going to be a lot of that. PC Game Pass, as Jez pointed out again today on Xbox 2, or maybe it was Hargeet. I think it was Hargeet actually that brought it up too. Might take longer to see more of the PC side of things come to Game Pass because of that situation with BattleNet.
Mhm.
We might not see that stuff right away. So there's going to be
you
a
think
lot
they
of transition.
dissolve BattleNet,
I
or
know, because I think they
No.
want BattleNet. BattleNet is such a better product
Oh,
than what
okay,
they've
okay.
currently got. I think they're going to
Mhm.
want to find a way to combine the two and just kind of make it whatever Windows
Yeah, like
BattleNet.
maybe just like
whatever.
cross-buy
It's
so
between
yeah,
it somehow
Battle.net.
connects to Xbox.
I think they
accounts or something?
did dismantle the Bethesda launcher though, didn't they?
They did,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they felt they were better off than the Bethesda launcher. But BattleNet by far, that's one of the reasons why they want Blizzard, right? That technology right there, that service, for what they want to do in the PC space is going to be huge. BattleNet's going to be a huge get for them overall, long
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I looked that up, and it looks like the only StarCraft game was available for the 64.
Okay,
It was initially decided they were going to release it for PlayStation, but then they decided, no, we're going to just release it on the 64.
Okay.
So
The chat,
I
some of the
think
chat
that
was
was
saying it was on PS1, but
2000.
I don't know.
I
No.
think the
I
easiest way to go with BattleNet is just
my
to put
God.
Xbox first parties in BattleNet for now, and then like once you finally can like get all the services together, then you combine it. Like just like starting off day one, just start putting Xbox first parties.
So
in
do
there
we
for day
not
one.
see some of those games hit Game Pass until they can get that kind of implementation with like cross progression support and stuff like that as well? Because right now they would have to go and like, let's say you buy a game on Xbox, like you get it on Xbox PC, right? But like they got to make it to work. If you buy a game on Xbox, you get it on Battle.net as well, potentially. I would think that's going to be
Or
something
they
they
could
do.
start. They could also put Activision games in the Windows Store launcher.
Yeah.
So you could.
Right.
They would just do both until they can combine them.
Until they can combine them.
Yeah.
Right.
And BattleNet, a lot of their games, especially like with Diablo, is cross progression. So that buy once and play it anywhere is kind of already in place. And I think it would be a little bit easier than having to take that much time to get it all crossed over.
I thought I had is there anything that they have within ABK? They have this massive, Call of Duty community is absolutely huge. Is there anything they can use with maybe anti-cheat or any of these other ABK things that they're doing to help with Halo in the future, potential future Halo games, or either implement with Halo?
Well, the good thing is no one plays Halo, so
So it's a non-issue, basically.
Yeah.
What you're saying. I heard the community is really happy with some of the updates recently. Master Chief Collection just got a massive update.
Yeah. It's
as
really
well.
cool that a lot of the unreleased maps from like Halo 2 that maybe didn't fit on the disc, or for Halo 1 they had some other missions that they added in there, and awesome. I mean, I never thought I'd see the day where they would release unreleased content that was supposed to be slated for Halo 2 and then putting it as like an update for MCC. Like
Yeah, the thing that sucks though is like a lot of the cut content though, you can only access it on PC right now. Like they have official mods you can download. And that's how you get a lot of the cut content. So hopefully they can bring that to Xbox and you can like play with Xbox people on there. But as of right now, it's still kind of limited.
Something we haven't seen yet is like as crossovers between ZeniMax, Bethesda, and Xbox IPs, right? Are we maybe going to see a world in which like an Infinity Ward or something works on an existing? Like you could have think about now with ZeniMax, Bethesda, you got Activision Blizzard and Xbox, all these different things. You could have like a Doom made by an Activision Blizzard studio or like vice versa. You know what I mean? Like you could have a Call of Duty spinoff made by like let's say like an RTS spinoff or something made by World's Edge, or like all these different possibilities is what's crazy. And one thing that Phil Spencer said early on, and to the question is Call of Duty going to maintain this yearly release thing and all this kind of stuff? To do that, they would have to maintain the status quo on all the developer support working on the games, I think. But I think that could potentially end up changing it at some point, and allow some of these developers to work on other stuff, like Jasper was saying earlier. And something Phil said early on was he was super excited to go around to the studios and find out what they were working on. And that's when he mentioned he was excited to find out that they owned Hexen, right? And then he shows up also at the Xbox showcase with the Hexen t-shirt on, right? So like this is still in his mind about potential future stuff. And I'm curious what more possibilities are there now besides just making money off of COD and mobile, you know, like what kind of games can we see that we couldn't have seen before? And High Moon Studios. Somebody in the chat earlier in Xbox 2's chat was saying like, what if Microsoft actually went to either Marvel or went to Hasbro or whatever and tried to acquire some of these licenses again for some back compat stuff, you know, or so they could maybe do a remaster on something. High Moon is the one that did the War for Cybertron games and stuff like that. Then you had lots of games from Toys for Bob in the past. You had Raven Software used to make so many games. Remember they made a Wolverine game before.
They made some Star Trek games before.
Yeah, I mean this is all possible. Are we going to see something like this in the future, or is it just going to be COD? I
don't think they go back though. Like I don't think they're going to go get the licenses for some of that old stuff. But
it is cool that they finally have a studio that handled license IPs like this. I'm trying to think of another Xbox studio that's really handled a lot of licensed content. I can't really think of any unless you guys can.
Not Xbox studios. I mean, they have, Rare's worked on the Sea of Thieves stuff with Pirates of the Caribbean. You had
there's some Bethesda studios that have done licensed stuff.
Indiana Jones is a big one now. And then if you go back to the history of machine games, they founders and a lot of the studio came from Starbreeze, who had originally made the Riddick games. So, they have a history working on licensed stuff, right? So Indiana Jones is kind of a good fit for them with that regard. But other than that, I don't really know. But there's a rumor of another licensed IP within Bethesda ZeniMax. I don't know what it is, but that was alluded to a couple times in the past. So this may not be the only thing. And we know that Xbox is willing to make deals now because they restructured.
If you look at Obsidian, if they give the same like kind of free, like we're just going to leave you do your things like they do to Obsidian. Like we got like so many Obsidian games in the works, even smaller projects like Pentiment. Like there's so many people like Infinity Ward, like just 20 people could break off and make their own little game in Infinity Ward. Like you never know. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, Grounded, how many people worked on Grounded? Like
small team,
maybe 30.
I think the team's grown over time, probably because as the game became successful, right? And grown an audience. Didn't they celebrate like 10 million players on Grounded not too long ago?
Yep.
It's crazy. This little project that Xbox allowed this small team to do I think Obsidian came out and said that like if they hadn't been acquired by Xbox, they never would have been able to make that game. So,
Yeah, that was a passion project.
And now it's 10 million strong there.
That's the
And
benefit
you're
for
bringing
me
in
for
17,000 people. How many people small groups you can get out of that? You know,
This is the same conversation we had after the ZeniMax deal, right? And it's something I
Yep.
always bring up with these acquisitions. I don't know so much it's about like bringing back old IP necessarily, or having cross pollination between the teams when it comes to using different IP in different spots, whatever the case may be. We won't see that for a long. This integration of Activision Blizzard King, even though they're going to be a subsidiary, is going to take a very, very long time. We're talking probably 3 to 5 years, right? Maybe into the next generation or beginning of next generation before we start seeing a lot of the fruits. But what it does do is exactly what you just brought up, Mav, and everybody's talking about here, is if they can free up some of the studios, if they decide to take COD away from a yearly release and maybe go to an every other year or every 3 year kind of release schedule, and you free up these other studios, how many projects were never greenlit underneath the old regime? How many projects, how many different ideas have 17,000 people? And obviously I'm just, again, that not everybody's a dev at Activision Blizzard, but I'm just saying, how many ideas have those people had that they never even brought forth because they knew it would be shot down? How many ideas were presented and just told, no, we're not going to, we don't have time.
there was a Roman Call of Duty at one point.
Right. Correct. How many of those now? And we've already got the proof in the pudding from all these other acquisitions that Microsoft and Xbox have done. How many of those now are going to be greenlit? How many passion projects are we going to get out of those groups? And I know everybody goes, oh, passion projects, blah, blah, blah. That's where you do get your grounded. And maybe grounded isn't for you. I understand. I don't play grounded either, but that's a huge deal for Microsoft. So how many of those show up now, right? World of Warcraft 2 has been rumored for a long time. Supposedly it was on the table, but it was shot down by Bobby because he wanted them to just keep pumping out World of Warcraft 1 content all the time. That will now be greenlit. StarCraft, again, now we've heard the rumor that started up a little bit. Maybe it's maybe it is StarCraft Ghost. Maybe it is a different IP within the StarCraft universe. But you saw the excitement in Phil. He brought it up multiple times to bring back that RTS. That now will be greenlit. That's one of the huge benefits to these deals that can happen, because everybody has been so focused on Call of Duty for so long that a lot of games haven't been made, which is exactly what everybody else has been saying. But the fact is, now that we know how Xbox runs these acquisitions, we've got the proof on how they do this stuff. Those are more likely to happen underneath the Xbox umbrella now. And that's what excites me. Sure, we're not going to see this stuff until probably, like I said, next gen, but I don't care. The fact is that the potential for what we could get out of this many devs, again, they're up to now 33, 35 studios. Now, once this deal closes, oh my God, talk about just game after game after game after game. And it could be all different stuff. We just saw at the last showcase from Xbox, some of these studios that have now been freed up, been given more resources, been allowed to grow. In Exile shows up with Clockwork Revolution.
In Exile loves working for Xbox, dude. They are
so excited, man.
Yeah,
they are
they were out there cheering ABK today.
Yep, they were.
Right now, their plan is a game a quarter. In 10 years, it could be a game a month.
It could be a game a month, literally. Yes.
Well, this year is not even that far off from that, really, if you think about how many games. Now, not every game's a big game, but, you've already had Hi-Fi Rush, Age 2, you had, you saw Forza and Starfield yet to come out. Redfall hit, was what it was, right? So they're, was it 6 games? If Age hits this year as well, there's several first party games this year.
Right.
And Sony's going to have a hard time matching that output.
Never will be able to.
How are they going to do that? What's their what's their retaliation?
Exclusive, timed exclusive.
We've kind of heard about what their retaliation
games of service,
which is more remakes.
Yeah, that's
The Last of Us Part 2 possibility. Is that real?
Yeah.
I feel like it is.
I think it's probably the PC
sense.
version. It's probably the PC version.
But they're going to try and resell a remastered PlayStation version as well when they do that. Probably.
We heard about Horizon as well, so that's 2 that because they were it was rumored that they're also remaking the first Horizon game.
Yeah.
So this would be another. So it would be 2 remakes that's in the works right now.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Remember when I was talking about tea
Smart
leaves of
delivery.
Amazon?
Yep.
Maybe Amazon starts licking their chops. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the future, right? Maybe somebody else big does come up, Apple, Amazon, whoever, and buys out Sony, and then they have again, then we'd be $1 trillion versus $1 trillion company, right? And then you're talking about content wars for real, but there's going to have to be fast movement because this precedent that is now set. We talked about this too, how important it was for Microsoft to fight this all the way, because this was going to affect the power across the globe when regulatory bodies started looking at this industry and what deals were going to be allowed to go through in the future. Now that Microsoft has set the roadmap and they've set the parameters on how to get a deal this big done, all the analysts already today, all the experts, not us just talking heads, even though we've talked about this before, now that it's almost done and it looks like it's going to close. Yes, it was a long, arduous fight, a fight that most companies would never do or have the money and resources to actually take the time to win. But there are some big companies out there who do have those resources that are now going, thank you, Microsoft. You just laid the groundwork for us. And we are going to see some more big purchases of big publishers down the road as this goes through. Just a quick side note too, Foss Patents, Florian Mueller, shout out to him for all the incredible coverage that he's been doing nonstop. He confirmed that the appeal today was denied. Remember, it was 3 judges that had to look at it. The FTC needed 2 out of 3. It was a unanimous denial today. All 3 judges said no.
Wow.
All 3 judges. So, yep, that's how bad this case was. Not even a glimmer.
Yeah. Like that congressman said, no facts.
I wish this happened
waste of
before
time,
that
waste of taxpayers' money. Again, going to appeal and something that he didn't believe that they would be able to win.
It's an uphill battle to get a judge to overturn another judge's decision that they work with.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it was also a favorable judge for the FTC. Like to get, I think people were saying it was a Biden appointed judge, right? And it's a Biden appointed FTC chair as well.
They wanted it somewhere else too. They didn't want it in that district.
They wanted it in DC.
Yeah, Microsoft.
Yeah, they wanted it in
Microsoft
District
wanted
Columbia.
DC.
Correct. Yep.
with a different judge.
No, the FTC wanted Corley.
Yeah. FTC
wanted-
wanted quarterly.
Yeah.
Microsoft didn't. Microsoft
Right.
wanted a different.
She even mentioned that during the case. Remember that cycle? Where she goes, no, I know you guys didn't really want me, right? When Beth was up there, and they kind of
she's
laughed.
like,
and she's
well,
like, no, that's
no,
okay. It's
it's
okay.
okay
She's like, no,
now.
it's okay. It's okay.
It was beautiful. Yeah, it was great. But yeah, definitely to see how everything's turning out, and then now like people are like, "How is this good?" And there was a couple messages I put out there, but I'm like, listen, now Sony has to compete. They just can't coast for another generation of just letting things go, just money heading third-party deals and just sitting by collecting the royalties from Call of Duty, putting out their games, and that them and just coast along for another generation. And now they got to compete, and people are not seeing it as a positive. And and it's just weird that we're now seeing possibly Last of Us Part 2 remake or remastered. I'm like, that came out not even 3 years ago. Why are you remastering this game already?
Yeah.
And it already has a PS5 version. So what are you remastering? Are you just doing it to get some money so you can fund other projects? Is that what it is? I mean that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
So
I think
what
probably
happened-
for the PC release, and then take advantage of it on consoles. Well, that's what I would assume. But
Or maybe Factions is still in the works, and maybe finally they release it with Factions.
Maybe they
included.
release another concept.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I was like, finally, Factions will come out when this gets remastered, and they can finally because I think Last of Us 2 was supposed to come out, and then they're like, oh no, this game grown so big that it needs to be its own game, and then here we are.
and then Bungie says this thing sucks. You need more time.
Yeah.
We've kind of already seen Sony taking steps within this last 18 months. They've been buying a bunch of smaller studios, so they're doing what they can to stay alive right now.
Yeah,
they're buying smaller studios so they can get smaller.
They're transitioning to a new model, right? And that's why we saw their showcase.
That's
have
why they
all
wanted
those
to delay.
live service things, and like with CG trailers that were early on, and there's news that they're coming out with a PC storefront. But I think this acquisition makes them more likely to do better by the consumer with those aspects, right? So that's how it benefits PlayStation. And I see a lot of the PlayStation community or PlayStation only players that are like, this is going to suck. Microsoft's going to ruin these franchises. This is bad because consolidation, it's just consolidation in the industry. It's always bad. Consolidation. And that's just all they can say is repeating the same thing over and over again. And not realizing that this puts pressure on PlayStation to do better, which is great. And at the end of the day, and the whole consolidation thing, I will say again, is just complete asinine bullshit within this dynamic industry that the Judge Corley even says himself. You don't mess with this in this kind of industry that is dynamic. It's always changing. Many times a random developer comes out of nowhere you've never heard of, develops a game, and all of a sudden, it's the most played thing on the planet, it seems like. And all of a sudden, this company is huge. And then they start acquiring other things, and they become massive. Microsoft's biggest franchise is Minecraft, right? Who was started from one guy and developed into a small team. They turned it into a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Microsoft acquired that. Oh, but that's more consolidation. Well, but again, then you have, Among Us came out, and it was the biggest thing. Epic was not anywhere near the size they are when they made Fortnite, right? Then they make Fortnite. All of a sudden, they're one of the top publishers out there as well. And you never know where that's going to come from, and there's so much innovation, so many new studios forming all the time. People leave studio, form new studio, all
and
this
we
stuff.
said for a while, who's to say what COD is in 10 years?
And the
Who
thing is
knows
that
anything in 10 years, man? It's like, that's what the FTC stuff was like, so stupid. Like trying to say, well, this could happen, and speculate on like possibilities about what may be. And we could talk about a million possibilities of what may be, but only Microsoft in the case presented the factual evidence of what the likelihood of things will be in the short term, at least, right? And that's what I think the judge saw through most of that. We got 2 super chats to get to. Calorie with the $2. Appreciate you, bro. It says Starfield on battle.net equals mods that work. Maybe, maybe so. Hopefully, battle.net is a pretty smooth system. It's a really good a launcher and stuff. I think the games work really well through there. Treybone 408 with the $2 says, hell yeah, this means we all get our checks now, right? Yeah, Fuzzy's getting his check because he bought a lot of shares in ABK. So I know he's celebrating.
Well, one thing I think that we can kind of count on with this whole ABK acquisition, if normalcy follows suit, there's probably going to be, I would say, 3 to 5 studios within the next 2 years, newly formed from former Blizzard and Activision and King employees. I can almost guarantee there'll be at least 5 new studios. So much like you said, with this whole consolidation thing, it's BS because like every day we see new studios pop up, and more times than not, it's like, oh, this person's now leaving this studio. Oh, by the way, next week we hear that they're starting a new studio.
Yeah, there was another Playground person that might be leaving today, actually, right?
And then there's one from Naughty Dog, which I kind of looked at the Naughty Dog director or whatever that was leaving as being maybe Bungie pissed off this guy. He's like, you know what? I'm out. I'll start my own studio.
The co-president.
Yeah. So it's like there's always new studios starting up. In 10 years, we might not be playing COD. Maybe something completely different. Like there'll be a MechAssault equivalent game. Maybe Titanfall Killer will be the new hotness at that point. Or maybe it'll just go back to
Halo makes a massive resurgence. Who knows, right?
Yeah. Like there's so many things out there and so many devs that are up and coming. And there's like, if you look at Steam for the early access stuff, there's so many shooters that, some of them survive more than a year. Some of them die in a couple of months, but there's always new and improved ones. And we got that, was it Unrecord, that's going to be hopefully coming out in about a year or so, at least to early access. You got 6 Days of Fallujah, although it still needs some more, 10-11 care as far as for the AI and stuff like that. You got Ready or Not, which that's another big one. It's there. So if anybody's worried about COD, being, going exclusive, but that's not the play at all. There's going to be so many other games to try to fit that vacuum if it ever were to. But I would say it's not even something to worry about, especially considering, was it Embark Studios has 2 games coming out now? Was it Arc Raiders and Highlight?
Yeah, that's a brand new studio, former DICE devs, right? That have a couple games that look really exciting. We were playing another new IP by Capcom last night, and we're having a freaking blast with the Exo Primal. It's in Game Pass day 1, and I remembered we had a lot of fun in the beta with Exo Primal, but I think we had even more fun last night than we had with the beta, because those matches were pretty fierce, man.
Yep, they were.
It was fun,
and I could still be MVP a lot.
Yeah. I nabbed 1. I was able to nab 1 MVP.
You got nab 4 out of 10. That's not bad.
Yeah,
I blame my class.
Tom's over here counting.
Listen, Jasper, I'm not you. There's very rarely that I can be at the top. It just so happens that game, it rewards me for the character that I like to play. So that's
Limitless Pajama with $10 super chat.
Hey, what's up, Limitless?
Appreciate you. It says, you guys think it would be cool if a studio like Playground Games took a couple of years off to make a Mario Kart styled game with all of the IP Xbox just gained on top of what they have? I like it. Potentially, but I got another one for you. How about the studio that makes Crash Team Racing?
Yeah, just have them make it.
Yep.
Because they already got one.
You got a team now. Yeah,
you
got
know?
a team now.
You got a team experience with making kart racers, a traditional kart racer that's actually lauded as being an excellent one as well in the past. So Crash Team Racing with Xbox characters.
Microsoft legitimately has every genre covered now, except for maybe classic JRPG, right?
So
Japanese studios is like the last thing, which is why Sega would be.
This is what that leads me to what I want to ask.
For fighting though,
we can get into that right now, though, bro.
Like fighting too, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, because they got Killer Instinct IP, they just don't have the developer for it.
Yeah, they don't have the developer. But I'm just saying, teams wise, to make any game possible, they legit have almost every genre.
So, do they pause the brakes on large acquisitions? What's next? Like, are they going to be able to make another like high billion-dollar acquisition, or like what's next for Xbox now? Do they just
immediately? That's just me. Just because being held up for a whole other year would be annoying, but that's just my exhaustion from this year of ABK. I personally would get like smaller studios, and then get that big one. Just because there's a lot of smaller ones that was even in the when they were considering different studios they should purchase. There's a lot of good smaller ones in there that I think would fit their portfolio pretty well.
And it wouldn't take
like IO Interactive.
Fit them in. I said it wouldn't take 18 months to fit them in.
Yeah, and it wouldn't take super long. And again, I made a video about this like almost 2 years ago about what studio they should acquire. And one of the points I made was private studios, just because they are a lot easier to acquire. You don't need the approval of a board and all this government regulatory nonsense. You get a private studio to it's basically like, hey, I want to buy your studio. Okay, good deal. You shake hands and then bam, you buy them, which is what they have done prior to the ABK deal, which is why the ABK deal was so crazy to me, because I was like, there's no way they would buy a huge public company just because of how much regulation and stuff you would have to go through. And then then they did it. I was like, well dang. But in terms of private companies, I would think they would want to acquire some more private companies first, and then a big one. I'm not saying they won't buy a big one. I feel like they would want to get at least one more big company. But in between that big one, they already got ABK for the most part. Almost there. A couple days, they pretty much got it. 99%.
Yeah.
So I would get a bunch of like smaller ones. And I mean, consider small to ABK. There's a lot smaller studios compared to the massive company that is ABK, right? When you think of like a $70 billion company, there's not a lot of companies that fit that threshold. So when I say smaller, that's pretty much almost every other company besides Take-Two. Just think about it like
I mean,
like
they're
that.
still smaller than ABK anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even then they're smaller than
Is there
ABK.
another
ABK is
publisher
just
as
massive.
large as ABK? Like,
No, they were the largest. I think them being priced. I mean, they were hovering around the 50 and 60 billion mark before the purchase.
but that was only
And
because
the-
their stocks had plummeted. Also,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And Take-Two, I think, is in the 40 to 50. EA is in the 30 to 40. And then all the other ones
Take-Two's
are
above EA.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Take-Two is going to
Wow.
go even higher once the next
Take-Two's
GTA
market
comes.
cap right now is 25.4 bill.
25.4.
For some reason, I thought EA
Okay.
made more. Wow, that's
So
crazy.
like Activision Blizzard was like by far like
Yeah.
you're not even close. Which
yeah.
is
So
crazy.
every other purchase they make is going to be smaller by default than ABK. So, I mean, I would want them to basically, like what Pong was saying, they got almost every single genre covered. In terms of what is going to be available to Game Pass, which is their goal, right? Their goal is when you go on Netflix, you have different genres to watch, so that way when you want to stay in Netflix because you have certain genres covered. You're like, oh, I like these type of movies. Well, dang, they have like 30 of them.
And a lot of them are made by Netflix.
Yes, a lot of them are
Jayhawk
made
says
by Netflix.
EA's 37 billion.
37
How much
billion.
is
Nice.
WB Discovery?
I don't know. Ubisoft's only 3.27.
Ubisoft
Yeah.
is so undervalued right now.
Bro, somebody's licking their chops right now. There has to
Yeah,
be somebody.
I'm
because-
surprised Sony hasn't already jumped on that. I'm really surprised. Like that would be the
But-
one that if they were, well, I won't say if they were smart, but if you're going to go for a loan, that would be
Yeah.
the one to grab it just for
Yeah, well,
the
they could
Tom
afford-
Clancy IP.
They can
The
afford
the
Ubisoft.
problem, Fuzzy, with Ubisoft is how bloated it
Yeah,
is, right?
overhead.
You have to be the
Yeah.
bad guy to go in and clean up house, right? It would be a massive
But
layoff.
people won't hold
situation.
Sony accountable on that. They lay off
Mm,
10,000
it's true.
people.
It's
They'll be like,
true.
oh, well, Ubisoft got so big on that.
I think a lot of that though is like you're also buying a lot of stuff just to shut it down. Like they're going to be shutting down so many studios around the world because there's so many people that are like, we don't need that studio because they're just
Right.
like just write stuff. We don't need them.
Like
we have this-
3-Bit points out, they've got the most support studios out of any
Yeah.
company out there. Like they're basically all support studios. Like it's crazy. WB is 27.39 bill.
That's not just gaming. That's
Crazy.
the whole.
Yeah, that's
WB.
the whole everything. That's the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
They
I know.
just need Japanese studios.
Paris
I
on,
would
on Xbox
get
2 was saying like he felt like another publisher would be like too much, which I disagree with.
I disagree with completely.
But
Eastern publisher, that's the next spot. It's
Yeah.
makes
And
total
then they'll
sense.
be the end of publishers unless
Yeah.
something falls in their lap.
Correct.
is it Sega or is it? I mean, because they're the ones that have the best relationship with them,
It's Sega. It's got to be.
and they didn't say never. They just said not now.
If it's
You know.
Again,
if
they're
it's
the
their portfolio.
right. It exactly 3-Bit. And now that they bought Rovio, they are a smaller version of Activision Blizzard. They have all the fronts that Xbox is looking for, right? You've got console, you've got valuable IP, you've got PC, and now you've got big mobile presence as well. Like it fits all the markers that Xbox is looking for, plus it's in the East. And it's one of the biggest names in the East. Sega just makes way too much sense right now. It
Yeah.
really does.
Nexon
Sega's-
is only 17 billion.
Yes, I know, and I would love it, Jasper. I would love it. You know, I would love it. I'm just saying, Sega makes.
Yeah, I
way-
know.
How much is Sega worth?
They're like 5 or something.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what
Small
I'm saying.
enough.
And FTC admitted if it wasn't for the size of this deal, they wouldn't be in front of the courts. So again, they've been told what they can do. Just because they bought ABK with the size of this industry, they can go get another publisher without causing waves.
You
Especially
know,
if it is like
I
a
mean, the
Sega.
range is between $8 and $70 billion. So you got to find out what that is.
Yeah. I think anything north of like 40, 50 get scrutinized. Anything under that, depending on what it is, if it's just a studio, the pie won't get looked upon. But if it's a publisher, they might if it's in that 30, 40. But yeah, It's interesting. They could probably what I would say 12 billion to get Sega.
It depends on what IP we're talking about that they take over, right? Again, would anybody scream and holler that Sony couldn't live without Sonic if they foreclosed Sonic? No, of course not.
Persona
right?
be the only thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It is just like that's what it's going to really depend on. Now, if they go
Even Persona's not anywhere near big enough, I don't think.
No, it's not because the Final Fantasy is bigger, and right now Sony's eating that up, right? So Sega is 5.2 billion, by the way, US. But yeah, no, that's why Sega makes sense. But that's the only thing that would catch people's attention. Like if they went and got an EA, even though I say EA is overvalued because a lot of it's licensing, and you don't obviously you don't own the NFL license just because you buy EA. They can
moving away from that with their new sports stuff.
Yeah. They are, but that's what I'm saying. Right now, it's overvalued because that's where they make a lot of their money, or most of their money is in that. Those
and they do the Star Wars stuff and all. Other things as well, right?
Correct. So. But if they went and got EA, that would raise red flags, right? That because again, people would say, "What if they foreclose Madden?" Okay, well, they're not going to do that because the NFL wouldn't allow it. But at the same time, people would bring up those questions. The FTC.
It would just be insane though if EA would happen and then Xbox owned Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield.
Right?
It's like what a world.
You want a shooter? Yeah, you're gonna have to get a shooter box.
Yeah. I mean, they already got the gamut run on Western RPGs. You know, Starfield, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and you got Obsidian.
Some of the best first-person shooters now. I mean,
in Western RPGs, they're only missing two studios. Was it Project Red and Bolt? Larian or something.
Oh man,
you remember when Call of Duty was the Halo killer? You know, and it's like now they got both.
COD, Halo, Gears.
COD, Halo, Gears, Elder Scrolls now, like Fallout, like these franchises they've been getting. It's just insane to think about the power that they have, right, in the industry. And Steven Totillo had put out a tweet earlier on Twitter saying, Modern Warfare 2 was the highest selling PS5 game and the highest selling PS4 game.
You want me to read you got it?
Yeah, can you read it? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can read the tweet. It says in 2022, the most downloaded PS5 game in the US was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. The most downloaded PS4 game was also Modern Warfare 2. The third most downloaded PS4 game, Minecraft. Microsoft is now on the verge of becoming PlayStation's most important third party.
It's insane how valuable Microsoft is to PlayStation now with the popularity of the games that are played on PlayStation.
I'm just wondering if that rumor was true, if Jim Ryan if he wants to end the deal early to prevent that power. Because I get, first off, I do feel like it's petty if that rumor is true, where Jim Ryan essentially wants to end the Call of Duty deal early. I do feel like that's a petty mindset, but at the same time, I do understand, like, he wants to somewhat stop Microsoft from getting, but that shouldn't affect your income. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Shout out to Hargeet again. Hargeet comes always with the interesting little facts, because in Expect 2, he pointed out because of the marketing deal, they make 10% less money, right? That's part of the marketing deal. So Jim just says, well, it's now going to be associated with Microsoft anyways. Their name's going to be all over Call of Duty now. So why not just get my 10% back? Because there's no reason to market it for Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
And from that business standpoint, because I was curious, Mav and I talked about this last night, I was kind of scratching my head if this was more petty than anything else, because Jim is such a numbers guy. Like I was trying to think of why this was the fact. And then Hargeet brought that up on Xbox 2. And I was like, oh, of course. Now it makes sense. Yeah. Why would Jim not want his 10% back? I mean, it makes sense.
There is some, like, maybe they want to do like one final push just to get people in the PlayStation ecosystem with that. Like, then they know they would make more
if
money.
If you do it one more time, people are still going to somewhat associate Call of Duty with PlayStation if they did one more push.
Yeah, but remember, the stores were putting up the signs like, "Oh, make sure you choose wisely what console you get when you pick it up," or something like that. Like when this was first announced. So I can't see everything changing instantly at Best Buys or at GameStops,
and they would also lose if they do that. They would also lose the contract they have right now, because they would have to redo a new contract. And right now, they're at least guaranteed Call of Duty, like, so.
Yeah. We got some super chats to get to as well here. Shout out to everybody watching. If you do like the content here, hit the like button, share it out, sub to the channel, notification bell. It helps us grow greatly. And I know it's a big day today for Xbox, and it's exciting to see all the people in the chat. They have 175 likes. Let's see if we can get that to 200. It'd be absolutely amazing. Ant-Man 86 hit us with $2. Said maybe this means Sony will bring back SOCOM.
Hope so.
That'd be nice.
I do hope that happens from this deal, that it pushes Sony to think about the IPs that they have, because they've been very comfortable. Like, we're number one, we don't have to change anything, we're going to keep making remakes like they keep doing. I do hope that this deal pushes Sony to look at the IPs that they have, look at their plan, and like, hey, let's actually release those games, like a game like SOCOM or
I don't think Sony's looking for another shooter though.
I mean, they're making games as a service games. One of those
they already
could
have
be...
their shooters. They have their Bungie games, and they have Concord. They have that Fair Games or whatever. So they have their stuff.
One of those
out.
should have been SOCOM. That would have been the answer, but maybe now is too much.
Wasn't there like 17 games as a service games though? I'm pretty
there
sure
originally was
they cut it
10,
down.
but I think they cut back on some of those and had canceled some of them. So,
Okay.
I don't know how many there is now, but I think so. We got Marathon, Fair Games, Concord is 3 of them, right?
Destiny.
Destiny is still going to be ongoing as well. So there's 4. They can count Gran Turismo as that.
A shooter game?
MLB.
Oh no, I mean a live service game. There's 5. So they kind of got 5 live service games ongoing right now. We talked a lot about past PlayStation franchises that they had in the PS3 era. Before there was like that Warhawk game, and they made MAG. Remember MAG, Mass Action gun game or whatever it was. I don't remember. But they had a lot of things they were experimenting with back in the day, and they've kind of settled into that. We're just going to make these story-based, third-person, action-based games, and now we see them. Okay, well, that's not going to grow and have a lot of
they didn't have
opportunities for monetization, all these other kind of things, and now they're diving full-fledged into the other side, which why a lot of people hated their showcase this year. But we'll see. Maybe they'll have a couple of good ones. I mean, Bungie's is the best bet, going forward. I would love to see SOCOM come back, though. It seemed like too easy of a decision to have done that, but with the other games, I kind of agree. Maybe it's not going to be doing as many. Alvin
Metal coming back would be nice too.
Yeah. Siphon Filter.
Yeah.
Alvin with $5. Appreciate you. Said, been hearing a lot how Microsoft should slow down. This shouldn't be news, but $1 trillion companies don't slow down. Satya doesn't seem the patient type. No, they're full on aggressive right now. And
you got to make more money than you made last year.
Phil said in an interview about expanding to more places around the world, and they're not done. He said that just a couple months ago. SNEK with a $5, appreciate you, says, sending out a slow but powerful nod of approval for the deal. # we love Fuzzy. We love Fuzzy too. Fuzzy's amazing. Chris Schildknecht, I hope I said that right, says, I say buy Bandai Namco.
Yep. I'd be down.
Yeah.
For sure. They do have
yeah.
a toy division though, which is gigantic, which Microsoft probably doesn't want anything to do with. So
right. I saw that.
The only thing. But I would love it. Yeah.
Let's see. We got Rob Dadon 202 with the $10. Appreciate you, Rob Dadon. It says Pong is right. True crossover pollination of IP won't be until next gen, but COD will stay annual by expanding the teams. IPs, Diablo, COD will stay multi. Hawk, Spyro, Crash, etc. Maybe it feels nice. Yeah.
Phil talked about all the games. Again, Phil already has visions for this deal. Again, how long it takes we get to that point, that's the question, right? How long can they, until they kind of get everything settled in and they can make big decisions about games like Call of Duty and what they're going to do going forward? That's the real question. But Phil, right away, when they announced the acquisition, he was out here naming old IP that he wanted to see, right? So there's no doubt that if he gets his way, they will find a way to make that happen where some of that IP does get revived and will come out eventually. Again, how
And
long?
maybe it's
We'll
not
see.
even Activision at that point.
Right.
Maybe it's like someone
Or-
else they already own, like a Bethesda studio could work on it.
Yeah, or they expand teams, right?
Yeah.
They take a portion of Raven and they keep them on as, you know, a studio that works on COD, but then they break it off and they have a second team that starts working on IP again, right? Again, we've seen that's the thing that everybody always forgets when it comes to Microsoft, and they say they don't grow organically. It's bullshit. They buy these studios, they acquire all these teams, and every single one of them have grown and have expanded, gotten new studios, upgraded their tech. We've seen it through every single one of their acquisitions. That's no different just because Activision Blizzard King happens to be 17,000 people strong. And oh my God, that's like triple what Microsoft is right now, or Xbox is right now, I should say. That doesn't matter. That doesn't mean they're not going to do that with those teams. And that's exactly what can happen. And I think will happen. Expanding out the teams that are already there, bringing in more talent, continuing to grow out. There's no reason. Almost every studio now right underneath Xbox is working on at least 2 projects in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in development or whether they got 2 games in development at the same time, or they've got 1 game that's in the beginning stages where they're, you know,
They're constantly helping each other.
They're working through this. So the same thing will happen over at Activision Blizzard. Those teams will start making multiple projects, and that's where we'll see some of that old IP and new IP come from again. Sorry,
and you even saw Rare, like they brought Rare in to help with Redfall. So like it doesn't have to just be Activision by themselves.
Correct.
They can bring in cross people across different studios.
And we've seen more people moving across the studios when they want to move. They don't necessarily lose them now. A lot of them are moving to different teams. Now you're going to have this massive amount, 33, 35 studios. If somebody doesn't want to necessarily work at id, well, then they can go work at Raven. They can go work at Blizzard, whatever the case may be. That keeps more talent in-house as well and allows that expansion because you're not losing the talent like a lot of these publishers and studios go through. This is a game changer, folks. This is gigantic, and they're not done. Again, I said originally they needed 35 plus studios. I'm now saying 40 plus. And I think, Mab, I saw you write in the chat 50. I think you're probably closer now to their end goal. I think when this is all said and done, they will be satisfied when they are between 40 and 50 studios strong, because that way they are completely insulated from the rest of the industry.
They've built that moat
every game. Exactly. They will be able to make every game they need to do. They don't have to worry about anybody cutting deals behind their back like Sony. They won't have to worry about any of that stuff. And they'll be able to make whatever project they have dead set on making. They will have all the in-house talent they need to do it. It's going to be fast.
And it saves them money because they don't have to buy exclusivity from third parties.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then being in third place, I mean, we've seen with this case that they've had to make concessions that, you know, other people like Sony wouldn't have had to make, like potentially losing Call of Duty. I mean, that we seen in this case that Xbox has almost lost Call of Duty just because of the fact that they're like, hey, we may not want to put Call of Duty on your platform because it's not as engaged, didn't get as much engagement. And what did Microsoft do? They got that 80-20 or whatever the number was, deal over what PlayStation was getting. So that's pretty much what Xbox wants to do. They want to make a moat of studios where they don't have to rely on other people. They can just build everything internally and then get the occasional third-party deal. And like, yeah, that'd be nice. I do think what they are missing when we were talking about different studios that they now have, they almost have every single genre. Some of my favorite genres is RPGs and stuff like that, and they have the best of them. I do think they need Japanese studios, so that's why I am in favor of someone like Sega. I actually think besides Sega, let's say they don't get Sega, let's just say Sega, they're doing their own thing right now. There's a lot of amazing like Korean game dev studios right now. There are small teams and they are really talented. I do encourage you guys to, like, for those who don't know a lot of Korean game dev studios, look at just look some up and you'll see how they are really pushing the envelope graphically, They are looking at what Western studios are doing and trying different things there. I do think they should look at some Korean studios as well, which I think will be the job of Xbox Game Publishing to at least look at some of those studios outside of America.
Yeah.
So.
Right on. And then Rob Dadon 202 followed that up. That brought on a huge conversation, but Rob Dadon 202 followed that up with another very generous $10 super chat. Said, but he can make Elder Scrolls or SF exclusive, Starfield, right? Yeah, I don't see why they would be multiplat. New single player games exclusive. If said game needs an online player base, it depends on scale. For example, Grounded, right? Yeah, I think that's kind of going to be, that case by case basis scenario, right? New IPs between Xbox and PC. Now, here's the thing too: if this Xbox ecosystem keeps growing enough and becomes so large where that many users are playing in multiple devices, at that point, that allows them like some more sway when cutting deals with the PlayStation to put games on their platform as well, right? So it's going to be interesting, and the industry's changing, right? But you never know, like what the future is going to hold. But it's crazy to see Xbox has grown so much just in the time that our channel has existed. They have acquired the ZeniMax Bethesda and Activision Blizzard King. They've went from 7 studios? Or no, at that time they had already grown to, because they had gotten some of those other ones. They got
Theory,
Obsidian, Double Fine, those. So they were at like a 10, 11 at that time.
Minecraft.
So. And now they're going to be in the 30s.
They had Minecraft.
But some of these studios that are one studio are multiple studios. Like Infinity Ward just acquired another, or just branched out to form another studio, right?
Oh, yeah, and they've got a second game in the works, supposedly, right, Mav?
Yes.
Open world shooter RPG, sci-fi, working with ex-BioWare, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Prime people.
Yeah, and Blizzard themselves is one name, but I mean, they make World of Warcraft, they make StarCraft, they make.
I think there's 9 or 10 studios under.
Yeah, they do Square Enix type naming, don't they? Too. It's like Blizzard East or whatever the heck it is. Like,
How long did it take for them to come in and say, like, sit down with Indiana Jones and be like, you're exclusive? Was it right away as they bought them, or was it a couple months? Do we know, like, the time?
It was a couple of months. I think it was
email
within the
had,
first
like,
6
the
months
time.
after getting
6 months.
Yeah, I think it was like, based on the court documents, I think it was like they got the deal. They knew that they would have to renegotiate for the Game Pass stuff, and I think in that process it was like, oh, okay. Well,
to me, that dictates what could happen with these other Blizzard like survival games, like the time frame of when Phil sits down and looks at all of the new games that are now underneath Xbox, all the games in development at ABK. I feel like that's a pretty good reference case for what they could do with ABK, because I think a lot of the games that you see now at ABK, Overwatch, Diablo, all those games like Call of Duty are multi-plat, but everything else that they're developing that we don't know about, that hasn't been announced, I feel like that's when Phil turns around and be like, yeah, unproven IP, you're coming to Xbox.
It depends on what kind of the game it is, though. Because, like, if you're going to launch something like Overwatch, I think you want as many players on it. Like,
maybe, yeah. We'll see. Let's see. There's still like multiplayer games. I feel like they. Yeah, I do agree. I think it does depend on the game. Now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah, I guess we'll see. The question I have for Mav, and I guess whoever else wants to answer, there's a lot of people who respond to this case, and they say, what is PlayStation going to buy? Are they going to buy Take-Two? Right, that's the response.
Another $50 million.
I know they can't.
Impossible.
But I would like to hear what you guys think, or what PlayStation's response is going to be. Maybe like a year, 2 years from now. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to wait that long. I think they're going to come out in the next within the next 6 months, maybe, and who knows, maybe even sooner than later, and try and nab one of these publishers. Now, the climate isn't quite like what it was when Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard at the time, right? But I feel like the industry is in a place where there's some publishers out there that are more obtainable, and I think they're going to go after a publisher. The question is, who is it, right? And Ubisoft would be an obtainable one financially, but the other thing is, like we're talking about, it comes with a lot of overhead and issues to bring them in. So, you know, you could look at Square.
I mean, you can even look at Sega for them. They can snipe Sega.
Yeah, for me, the motivation for them was
I don't think
Square.
Sega would sell to them.
It's like
There's bad blood there.
So weird.
Yeah.
Like I get Square, like people like they should just buy Square, but I'm like, the benefits are, I mean, I guess they would pay
unless they,
less
I mean,
money.
but you got to think, like, are they worried that Microsoft could acquire Square? Right. Because if you're Microsoft and you're trying to, okay, well, we're in competition with PlayStation, and we're trying to do a thing that makes a big impact for Xbox. Like, you could say the same thing about Sega. Like, right now, for Xbox, buying Sega isn't going to do a whole lot, because they already said, Sega, that their relationship is so good and they feel more appreciated from Xbox and than other platforms, and they're doing all these Game Pass deals and all this kind of stuff. They have a partnership there, right? So Microsoft's benefit to buying Sega would be, you know, the branding in the East and all that kind of stuff, plus also making sure somebody like Sony doesn't do it, right? Or another publisher, or like an Amazon or something like that. But Square, if you're Xbox, would have a massive difference all of a sudden, because all of these games that have been skipping Xbox will now be coming to the platform. So if you're Sony, are you worried about that? Do you want to make sure you keep the relationship there? They also had already had a good relationship with Bungie for a long time, right? And that's one of the moves that they made. So if you're PlayStation, Square would be potentially a target, I think, because you want to make sure that Microsoft doesn't get them, so you can keep doing those deals, and maybe in the long run it costs them less than having to keep paying.
That would be like a defensive move for Sony, but like an offensive move, do they go and acquire like someone like Paradox, where like Microsoft has a good partnership with them? Do they try to take what Microsoft is making?
Right. Now we're talking about like corporate warfare. They pretty much, like acquiring things to damage the other company more about making,
which they do like doing.
But like, does PlayStation care about those Paradox kind of games?
No,
probably not. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's another publisher and more studios that they could change what they make.
Yeah. No, I still think Ubisoft is their best target. Like, just based on price, the Tom Clancy and Assassin's Creed license or IP, that's worth the price, no matter what. Even if you have to lay off every employee after the fact, it's worth the IP. So I think that's the most reasonable one that they would go for first.
I saw Truth Serum in the chat say Tencent owns 49% of Ubisoft. That's not actually, they don't own 49% of Ubisoft. They own 49% of the Guillermo Brothers Corporation, and Guillermo Brothers Corporation owns, I don't remember their share,
51% or whatever it was.
Well, they don't even own, their corp doesn't own even the majority of Ubisoft anymore. It's only the largest share of Ubisoft. So basically, the Tencent owns, they're like another Guillermo Bro now, right? They own almost half of the Guillermo Bros, but they don't have the decisions. But the Guillermo Bros Corporation owns the majority shareholder of Ubisoft, with decisions and stuff like that. So
would that be funny if Sony tried though, and Tencent was like, yeah, now get out of here. We're just going to go ahead and slap down double whatever you're offering. We'll just take Ubisoft completely now. Thanks. Bye.
That'd be insane.
Well,
how much is Tencent?
It was kind of to pay the brothers off to, like, remember how they were hurting for cash at some point? And that was when he was like, oh, it's all on you. But yet he took the payday from Tencent. So it lined his own pockets. Is a weird one, but I just, Sony, that would be their best move if they can. That's their best move. That it's not checkmate, but that definitely helps their future in the shooter space and
It's the
you know,
best
other
counter
IPs.
they could probably pull off, right, Fuzz?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the best
So-
counter because, like you said, the IP, like we've talked about, it's so undervalued right now because of what Yves and the family has done to it. That underneath Sony reviving some of that IP, you know, cutting the trimming off all the fat that
and the
they've gotten.
license,
Yeah,
the license games.
yeah, it would be crazy what could happen to Ubisoft underneath Sony if Sony could pull it off. It's the biggest counter move they could do just because of the IP alone. Fuzzy's spot on with this one.
Yeah. So this was
True.
back in May 4th of 2022. But I think this was before the enhanced shares. I think they ended up buying like another 3%. At this time though, Guillermo family owned 16% of Ubisoft shares and 22% of its net voting shares. And then there was the investment from Tencent of 49% to the Guillermo family that allowed the Guillermo family to acquire a few more percentage points of shares to make sure that they were still the primary shareholder there. But
They almost got taken
doesn't
over
mean that-
by Vivendi.
Yeah.
yeah, Tencent couldn't prevent this acquisition from happening, but they could have some sway with the Guillermo family. But they still don't have a decision making within the Guillermo family shares, if that makes sense, right? So if there's an offer large enough, they have to present it to the board and let the board vote, right? That's just the
And
way
that's
it
the
works.
thing, Ubisoft's just so split. Like, do you get all those people on? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if they're worth like what $5 billion or something like that, y'all said now,
Yeah.
3.2.
So the sell price would
So
be
low
7 to
for
12 billion.
the industry.
Would be the best offer.
if somebody came out there and offered them like 6.5, right? I mean, that's like over double like what you're worth right now. And the board at that point would have to listen. Now, the crazy thing is, like, I think it's undervalued for Ubisoft because they're in a downturn right now. They could greatly get back up into the high teens or in the 20s if they have a good year or two. So I for them, I think it's like better for them if they hold out, you know, but will the board see it the same way? You know, I don't know. It's,
I
crazy.
think the bigger question is, do we think Jim Ryan lasts another year or two?
You think like this was a big enough asterisk on his resume?
Jim
or,
Ryan,
like,
but I think we may see Jim Ryan get ushered out within the
though?
next year or
He
two.
didn't do anything wrong.
yeah.
Whoa.
No, it's
They
not
just-
that he didn't do anything wrong, but his efforts didn't pan out.
Well, I mean, he played the
And-
cards he had. Like,
He could have made the decision to try and do a deal with Xbox for Call of Duty and
that's
get
like
a
the
better
only thing you can point to, though.
get a better deal, right? I don't know if that was his decision not to do that or not, but we talked about a long time ago about leverage, right? There was a certain point in time when PlayStation's leverage was the highest, and yet they came out and they said all they want is for the deal to get blocked, right? They could have at that time done a better deal with Microsoft, a sweetheart kind of deal for the rights to Call of Duty over 10 years, all this kind of stuff. Now they got nothing.
Mhm.
And is that did it come from above, Jim? Right? Who knows? Right? We got another $2 super chat from Sir X-Man. I appreciate you. Sir X-Man said, I want Crytek in the Xbox ecosystem. Perfect fit. I'm on board with that too.
Nice.
There would be no regulation issues with that.
No.
Yeah, but
No.
they make a game like every 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
but
have
that
their
Crytek
engine.
Just because they
engine,
need
though.
funding.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Crytek engine is great.
You
they
get
usually-
with Crytek, you get great engineers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
CryEngine is awesome and it's
Yeah, like
underutilized.
Like you said, Fuzzy, they just need funding. That's been their main downfall is their funding issues. If Microsoft could come in and obviously again give them the resources needed, Crytek could put out some incredible stuff. I mean, there's no
Oh, yeah.
question about it. So,
Yeah.
yep.
I mean,
look at Crysis.
Star Citizen is technically the Crytek engine. So
Look
Is
at
it really? I didn't know that. Interesting.
yeah.
Far Cry.
Yeah, it's the
Some great games.
Crytek engine that turned into which Crytek they were running low on funds, like you just said, Pong, and then they sold to Amazon for Amazon Lumberyard, which is basically the Crytek engine.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah,
know
fun
that.
fact.
Interesting. Hey, I like the fun fact.
That's why that game runs like shit.
Which game was like was it that
New
game?
World or Home World?
Star Citizen.
Star Citizen.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
Star Citizen. Oh,
That's the Cry tension. Yep.
They licensed the CryEngine from
They
Crytek?
licensed it at first, and then Crytek, they were running low on cash. They made a deal with Amazon. It became Amazon Lumberyard, for to basically license out their engine. They tried to fight. Amazon tried to, no, Crytek tried to fight back, and like, hey, actually, we want our engine back. They're like, nope, it's ours now.
Another
in case you guys should look it up.
another popular franchise that runs on a version pretty much of CryEngine is Far Cry. As Crytek originally created Far Cry, and when Ubisoft took it over, they basically modified that engine and created it to Dunia. And they've been using that ever since and modifying it and enhancing it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
great engine.
it's crazy how their tech has been utilized by other people and changed over time and basically stolen, I guess, in a way. While they've been struggling, to stay afloat and survive. And it's funny, they were struggling so much that they had to splinter off Crytek UK, which became I forget the name of the studio now, but that's the studio that made the new Dead Island,
Dam Busters.
Dead Island 2. Yeah, Dam Busters.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Interesting. And I think originally they were Free Radical before Crytek UK, then now Dam Busters.
A lot of talent.
Yeah, and they did a hell of a good job on Dead Island 2.
Taking over as like the third or fourth studio on that thing and somehow pulling it all together. And then it comes out and it's one of the cleanest, most polished games this year.
It's made in Unreal too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The TRO is I see Donald J Trump69 in the chat says TRO ends at midnight Pacific time, I believe. So that's like 2 a.m. Central time. That's 3 a.m. Eastern time. And do we hear any more breaking news and stuff tomorrow about movement or about things that are going on?
I wonder what the
Monday?
CMA, if the CMA is going to say anything tomorrow now that they've seen.
I wonder if we
Yes,
could
I
hear
don't know.
just like the paperwork's been submitted to something like that, maybe like the paperwork's been submitted to
Yeah,
Microsoft
possibly.
We'll,
file over them.
That
if
would
somebody
probably
knows
hear.
something, we might hear a whisper or something. Like Hogue put out and said, yeah, he goes, I just don't see it happening over the weekend because he goes, even in 2023, moving $70 billion is still a process.
I'll carry it for you. Trust me, bro. Just
Yeah.
bring it over, park the truck outside. I'll handle it. I'll make sure
You may
everybody
lose
gets
to a
what
quick
they're-
billion off
Like,
the
hey.
top, but
You're missing $5.
My fee's only 0.05%. It's nothing,
Yeah.
right? It sounds so small, right?
Yeah. I just find it interesting, like listening to you guys, like talking about, with with PlayStation and Xbox. Remember, we had like the best generation with the 360 and the PS3 era. With the innovation between with Xbox and Sony putting out some great freaking games, and then Sony had almost a decade of really no competition, and then kind of settling down into their cookie cutter style games that they've been putting out, which are fine. People love them. That's great. But now with this, it kind of forces them back into that innovation and taking chances again, because they stopped taking chances because they said they only want to put out AAA blockbuster games and that's it, that makes money. And it's great, but you're only really looking at like one side of things, and now that they have to innovate, so we could see some great games. Like, I mean, we got Twisted Metal out of the deal, and we got what is it?
gonna get a great TV show out of it.
Yeah, whatever. We got what is it? Resistance Fall of Man, or is it Resistance?
That's Insomniac, yeah.
Those things, those games, they took the chance. Yeah, it didn't come out acclaimedly. It wasn't beneficial. Like, they didn't make a lot of money, but they took the chance, and Mag was another game that they took a chance on. So now with this about to go through with the ABK deal, do we see Sony kind of going back to the drawing board? Like, all right, what are we going to do now? What kind of do we need to start bringing old IPs back? Do we need to start innovating these games to really get? Because now they got to fight for, users on the console and PC side, because they're going to go towards PC too, like Xbox has been doing, and I think they're going to go. I know they've gone like 1 year, unless it's a games over service, then it's day one. Now, do you think that they're going to tighten that time frame or the time span and get that PC client going and really fighting for consumers and people to come to their ecosystem with games that they're going to be innovating, or are they going to just be fucking stubborn and keep doing what they're doing and fall behind on how the industry is moving forward?
Yeah, they're innovating. They got VR, Project Q.
Okay, be quiet.
Well, they have all these live service
yeah.
games, so that is a big change for them, right?
Yeah, that's
on that aspect.
Yeah, they're also supposed to work
things.
making this PC app. I think time's going to tell. Like, the acquisitions they've made have been moves to evolve, right? But it's slow going right now, and
this speeds that up, though.
I think it puts more pressure on them.
Yes.
That's why they were trying to just delay the Microsoft deal for 18 months as long as they could, because they needed time to change and adapt.
Yeah.
No, that's if the Japan office decides to do that, because they've been they're the ones that have been like, no, we're not doing this. As we heard that Jim Ryan's like, we need to adapt or we're gonna become an app.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, heard it. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, will they adapt to what the outcome is going to be, or are they just going to be stubborn as fuck and let PlayStation falter?
I think they'll let Jim be the fall guy and put somebody else in charge, and then possibly remove some of the restrictions on that next leader of PlayStation to kind of move them into the next direction, like a balance.
What if they bring back Sean Layden, Fuzzy? Oh, can you imagine if they go, "We made a mistake, Sean. Please come back."
Do you think Jim Ryan gets any repercussions from this?
But they bring back Jack Tritton.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
wow.
jeez.
Do you think?
I think we've already seen that they're willing to change because they're putting all their games on PC now. It's just I think it takes time to get that ecosystem where they have to have enough games in the PC ecosystem for them.
They have to learn how to do ports outside of Nixis. They got to learn how to do the ports right? Because the PC market's totally different.
I feel like they buy companies to figure out like how they work, because like Nix is like, we don't really know PC ports, so they bought them. Like Bungie, we don't really know how live service games yeah. And it makes sense. I mean, but to your point, Psycho, yeah, that was definitely the question I was posing to you guys, is basically like, what do you think Sony's response is going to be? And you raise a lot of good questions. I mean, I think in terms of where Sony is going to go from this, I mean, someone said like 6 months they could be making some moves. I did forget they had the PC app. I think this deal is a great thing for almost everybody, and that's what we've been hinting at throughout our podcast for this entire year, is because of the fact that Xbox is acquiring this huge company. This forces Sony to make the decisions like, okay, maybe more games come to PC. Maybe they put more games into PS Plus to compete with Game Pass. These are options that they don't have to do a lot of this stuff right now, because they are number one. They're making they're making tons of money. A lot of third-party publishers automatically go to PlayStation first with an afterthought of Xbox. They're like, maybe we'll do Xbox. We'll see. But what this deal does, and what Xbox is trying to do, set a precedent where people, at least devs, will think about it. At least devs will be like, okay, there's a lot of awesome things going on at Xbox. The Game Pass is super big right now. They got Call of Duty, they got Starfield, they have in the future Elder Scrolls, stuff like that. It can't be ignored, and that's and I feel like right now it can't
Well,
be
I don't know if
ignored.
that would change like necessarily smaller devs, because I think the smaller devs are still going to go to where the players are, and that's PlayStation. Like they have so many more players. That's the potential money from that is so much more than just like.
But which one
Xbox.
has more subscriptions though? Like Game Pass has quite a bit of active subscribers. According,
I think that's up to Xbox's job to approach those smaller devs and be like, "Hey, we'll offer you a Game Pass deal." That's Xbox's job.
Well, we've
The
seen
indie devs.
Well, it depends. If you're a smaller dev, then and you approach different studios, then it's kind of you're unproven at that point. So you have to show why your game is interesting enough to be in a service like Game Pass.
Well, what we've seen is
yeah.
Xbox making more deals with smaller publishers to bring all of their games to Game Pass recently. Like Annapurna's multiple games. They had the other studio. I can't remember the name of it.
Devolver also.
Oh, there was another one that I didn't remember the name.
Humble?
No, not Humble. It was just recent news.
Thunderful?
Like, we talked. No, it's not even them. It was like
Coffee Talk.
The Frostbite, the 11-bit.
Yeah, that studio. They tweeted about it. Like we had just signed a partnership deal with Xbox to bring multiple games.
The games
to
that
Game
Maps have heard
Pass.
of.
Yeah, but like there's small. My point is, as a smaller, so they're doing like deals with these smaller publishers for multiple games now up front. Right, like not even just individual. Hey, okay, this.
That's
it's
the
like,
first deal like that, right?
No, they've done some before already. Like
a publisher, you're like,
they've done it with Paradox.
Paradox, Humble.
Oh, okay.
I think this is the first outspoken publisher that's actually gone out and said that.
The other ones.
It seems like they've been pushing over the past year, 2 years to do this, right?
The other publishers have kind of announced the games that are coming to Game Pass. This one actually is like, we signed a deal to bring multiple games to Game Pass.
Yeah.
So there was a difference there
that.
where I think those deals still happened potentially in the same way.
Yeah.
This publisher just was outspoken about being honest
the
about it.
The only other one was Humble because that was announced at the Xbox showcase.
Yes. Yeah. They also gave Paradox a show. Xbox let them
promoted.
Make a show.
Yeah, they promoted it.
Yeah.
And they also the people that make all the PC fucking games that are really popular. They did the whole PC Game Pass deal for all those free to play games.
No, he's talking about
Riot.
Riot Games. Yeah, Riot. They did a deal with them for PC and all of their stuff. All of them. All of their stuff is like in PC Game Pass now as well.
Yeah,
so it's interesting.
Like what Jasper was saying with game publishers will put their games out to where all the gamers are, but we know that even though that their PlayStation has like 100+ million users or console holders, the thing is most of them are only playing COD or FIFA. So you start looking down at how many actually buy.
But I mean,
so even though there's a bigger user base, but it's really
we've already seen that I know what you're going at, but we've already seen that doesn't matter because all the indie devs, they always go with the first console we're making is PlayStation. We've already seen that.
But I mean, that was in the past. That was in the past. This is before, like this right now that Microsoft has this positive momentum going forward with Activision, Blizzard, and there's talk, and people are seeing that. Oh, Xbox is going to either give us a better deal. They're either got it's going to be more favorable to go to Xbox. The console itself is not expansive, but when you look at the Game Pass, you have right now it's around 29 million subscribers. It could jump up quite a bit. And then possibly more, and then we could see I would say a shift with possibly seeing games not being skipped anymore, and seeing how Sony is treated because they're like, if you want your game on our this fee is going to be tacked to, if you want cross-platform you got to pay us this. We've seen all that, so now that they don't or might not hold that leverage too much, that maybe they stop deciding to publish or design a game for PlayStation and maybe for Xbox. We might see that shift because of this. And this is all good for gaming. This is because now that, you know, they're putting these deals out that kind of are not favorable for these publishers, and seeing that, oh, it's actually might be better to be on the Xbox side than, you know, trying to deal with Sony. And then Sony's like, shit, we need to restructure how we do things, and we might see the industry kind of take a shift, possibly. This is all hypothetically.
Yeah.
Sir X-Man hit us earlier with another $2 super chat about the Crytek thing. He said, "You're missing the big picture. Rise, Son of Rome 2." Yeah,
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think they're already making that game.
Engine.
They
don't have.
Maybe
they don't have a Crytek engine.
They're rumored, but they put out a picture of Rise, Son of Rome character, and we're like, we're hiring for a new project. You know what I mean? So it's like,
I didn't even hear about that rumor.
That was last year. I want to say. God, time runs again.
Even early. No, I think it was early
this
year. Yeah.
Early this
Yeah, even Mikey Barra was in on that rumor too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Remember this guy? And he's standing in front of a statue.
Yeah.
Anonymous Boss with the $5 appreciates you as well. Says, a question for Fuzzy. Don't you like the new Nissan GTR Nismo? You could get that one for a little more money.
I mean, I would love a new GTR, but I've always been a Corvette man. It's just, it's one of those things where if I hit the lottery, I'd have like one of every, one of
Jay
those,
Leno style, right? Yeah.
But the Corvette is the one that if I took to the track and ran it off the track and scratched the paint, I wouldn't feel as bad. The GTR, I'd be pissed at myself because I know it's going to cost me a lot in repaint. The Corvette, I know some people that can get things fixed because I used to be in the automotive industry, so I have a connection with the Corvette guys, and I forget what other company that was, but
you get front door parking if you go to the museum with the Corvette.
No, but the GTR, awesome car. Driven one that was a 20, I want to say it was a 2013 or something like that. Other than a modded vet, that thing will definitely put you in your seat, back in your seat. You step on that gas, but I'm more of a naturally aspirated cam and lifters kind of guy. And one of these days, I'll post an audio of my Camaro when I had that thing sound like a NASCAR car, and I want my vet to kind of be the same way. Although the new ones sound more like a Ferrari now with that flat plane crank, but just always been more of a GM guy, but love Fords as well. But that GTR, that I think I'd be more afraid to drive that than the vet. I don't know. It's the issue, it's more special in a way.
The issue with the Nissan GTRs, so that thing has 7 onboard computers, ECMs, and if something happens to one, when they hook up a scan tool to it, it actually has it has a happy, like a smiley face and a frown face. That's how it fucking detects if all 7 computers are working properly. If there's a frown face, now you got to find out which fucking of one of the 7 computers is giving you an issue. And it could be something stupid. It'd be a fucking sensor that's causing that ECM to cause an issue. I had a buddy that worked for Nissan. He's like, fuck those GTRs. I would never buy one just because of that. It's going to be costly.
I was not expecting to hear more F words out of Psycho about car tonight than I was gaming.
I'm excited about Forza Motorsport. I'll tell you that. That's as far as I'm going to talk about cars. Sir X-Man with $2 super chat. Again, appreciate you. Says, have to get the 80 million gold members to subscribe to Game Pass. I'm assuming is I mean, there's a lot of potential for
how
people.
much is Xbox Gold?
$10 a month or $60 for a year if you buy the bundle thing. So
okay.
They tried to go up on it, and then everybody freaked out.
$10 a month. You know. Why doesn't everyone just go to Game Pass if it's $10 a month?
That's what they were trying to nudge that, but eventually it'll come back because I think that whole was a Game Pass family thing. They closed the beta or closing the beta. So
I tell you what, the first Call of Duty that drops in Game Pass, brand new, is going to draw a lot of subscribers to Game Pass. Starfield's going to draw a lot of subscribers to Game Pass. The bigger franchises, the bigger titles, the bigger names that are in Game Pass, day one, it doesn't matter if it's 6 months later, 9 months later, 10 months later. People aren't usually going to subscribe to a game because if they were that excited about that game, they would have bought it day one, right? So like, yeah, it all adds to the value over time, for the library. But what is going to drive people to subscribe in masses to a subscription service is that new exciting thing being there right away. That's just like with Netflix or
and then the other stuff keeps them there.
Yeah, or Disney Plus, idea. HBO, or whatever, like all those different things. Yep. When what's ever trending, the exciting thing right then is what people go to subscribe to those services for, and I think that we're going to see a lot more traction with growth. I do. When Phil said before he thought they were kind of tapped out in the console space as far as growth with a Game Pass, I think he was a little bit not accounting for the amount of people that could gravitate to it with the IPs starting to drop, because they've had some good ones. They've had like Halo Infinite was in there and Forza Horizon 5 and stuff, but like big, massive franchises like Call of Duty, that's what is going to get
the
a
thing
large
is
amount.
Though I think the Call of Duty market, like honestly, I think it's shifting more towards PC, because you see all the streamers play Warzone on PC, and that's what a lot of the kids are trying to play on now is PC.
Yeah. And that's fair too. And maybe it takes adding in some kind of like, hey, you get the battle pass discounts and all these different kind of aspects, or like other motivations, right? Because if you were some Call of Duty players only play Call of Duty, right? Or whatever, and maybe they're just content with buying the game every year and they don't want to subscribe. So, but if you have more incentives for those people, right? I saw the chat earlier talking about World of Warcraft. Can they find a way to incentivize? Now, I'm not saying necessarily come to console, but even on PC, incentivize World of Warcraft users to want to subscribe to Game Pass. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what ideas they come up with some of these other franchises and games. Chris Jones with the $2 says Square Enix is next. I appreciate you.
Have we ever got a battle pass in Game Pass though?
No. But there may have been discounts for battle passes with Game Pass.
Well, I mean, you get the Game Pass discount, right?
Yeah.
Unless if you have to.
The only
I think
thing
Naraka did. But
I would love for Xbox to buy Square Enix just to see the discourse online. It would be amazing.
I think the closest thing to a battle pass that Game Pass ever gotten was what was that? Gears of War 4 Ultimate Edition. And I think in the very beginning, when you had Ultimate Game Pass, that was the thing. I think they were going to move. It was you get the Ultimate Edition of the game if you buy Game Pass Ultimate. And I think the amount of money that they would have lost by doing that.
I could see them doing what they do with Call of Duty now, like on PlayStation. Every couple weeks, PlayStation guaranteed one double XP week a month. If you have PlayStation, you play it on PlayStation. Yeah. Where I think Xbox would probably switch that and just drop you Game Pass like double XP tokens.
Yeah, Game Pass perks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like the closest thing I can remember was Destiny. Skins. You had the DLC for free that one time, and that included the season pass, so you could get the free and the paid content.
Right on. There's lots of ideas. I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting world to live in post ABK, right? And that's coming around the corner. And I wonder what will we see the first big news coming out at Gamescom, guys? You think, or
when's
Gamescom?
August 23rd through the 27th. Yeah. So, and we talked about this, right? When we heard that, we talked about how Greenberg was making a big deal out of it, and Phil's going there this year for the first time in years. What did that mean? Do they have some surprises?
I went back. The only one I could find Phil at was Gamescom. I think it was 2015.
Right.
And it was like one of those older style E3 shows where like they have the stage and like all the fans there.
Sure.
We had Quantum Break, Scalebound was there. Crackdown 3 multiplayer was shown off. So we had some big stuff there when his last time he was there.
So maybe they were
Nice.
planning on this, right? You know, if ABK closed, they've got a whole nother kind of presentation, right? That they're going to kind of blow it out at Gamescom.
They have
right?
like 3 E3s now, Paul.
But God,
Really
think
think
about
Even got
this.
more. They got BlizzCon now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
think
they have
about this,
BlizzCon, they have
guys.
QuakeCon.
QuakeCon, yes, they do.
After-
and they're going to own MLG too. By the way,
How
I
are
know
they
Yeah.
going
everybody
to
dismisses
keep
it,
up
but
with the
Oh.
marketing on all of these games, bro? It's going to be insane. Like,
Well,
They don't even have
just-
to have ads on the dashboard for anything other than their games.
you
But
got-
like, you know how their shows are Xbox
yeah,
slash Bethesda? What is
Yeah.
it gonna be now?
like I said, they're gonna have enough to run a whole E3 week themselves, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna have
but
enough.
Activision
content.
doesn't have their own show anay right now.
No.
So like,
Well, they got BlizzCon, and that's it.
but they're going to
Yeah,
be
but-
part of
well,
Xbox Showcase going
yeah.
forward.
Right.
Xbox going to make sure to highlight that stuff, you know?
sure.
So
the
they
good
got to make
news is-
room for ZeniMax, Bethesda big titles. There are other first party studios and titles that they've already have, and then also
all
the
of
ABK
ABK.
games. And there's supposedly, like what Blizzard just said, like recently, like when Mike Ibarra made a tweet, was it yesterday? Is like there's so much stuff coming from Blizzard, you guys, that like
You don't even know.
and we've been used to a Blizzard that's been kind of dormant for a long time, just making World of Warcraft stuff, and then have all these projects. They're about to unleash some more stuff, right? And they already have the hottest game right now with Diablo. And so you're gonna have so many things that they gotta have to get to.
The great news is
Bethesda
the
do
great
their own
news though is
marketing?
like yeah, they do. And the
Yeah,
great
so
news
Activision
is
would
they've
probably
got
do
two great marketing teams
Yeah.
in ZeniMax and in Activision Blizzard, right? So those two marketing, and we already saw the influence of ZeniMax on Microsoft, right? And we've seen Microsoft start to shift and start to do things differently and in our opinion better with the directs, right? That was huge, and the showcase this year was well done. So now you have got two huge companies that are both great at their marketing because they've done it on their own for so long, and you're going to keep them that way. The fact is Microsoft's going to learn from that, and the combined efforts of those into a showcase, look out. I mean, it could be spectacular. Like I said, they're going to have enough to do an E3 week themselves if they want to. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodness.
Chris
We
Jones
also
$2
just got,
says, "Wise man once said, golden age of gaming."
Yep.
We also
It
just got
is.
news today that they may be ramping up to reveal the new Call of Duty.
Yes.
So
Get ready.
Did I hear it was like in the golf or something?
that's the
or-
next
Yeah,
Call of Duty.
Gulf War.
Next one.
Which, when you say next, is it this year? Like
Not
the
the
one-
next year.
Next year. The
Next
one.
year.
The
'Cause there's
one that
one
would be
coming
This
like
November.
Yeah. No, not this November.
No, this
Oh, yeah,
November
that's what
is
I'm
Modern
saying.
Warfare 3.
Yep.
Next November will be
Yep.
Black Ops Gulf War or whatever.
Right. Go
Gotcha.
for whatever
Okay,
you're gonna do.
got it,
And
got it.
who's it going to be? It's going to be obviously
It's Sledgehammer this year, Treyarch is
Yep,
next year, and
Treyarch
then
next
Infinity
year.
Ward should be the next, but you know
Right.
how they go.
We'll
They,
see, and we'll see with Microsoft influence now too if we see a change. So get Sledgehammer out of there. That's fine.
I remember when Halo and Call of Duty went against each other, and that was like a period in time in 360 days. It's just weird to think about that they don't have to compete anymore. They are one.
Yeah.
They are one entity.
Well, one's a dead game. So
Did y'all see
Well.
this? Kate had shared this with me earlier.
hurts.
And this and stream like 1300
yeah,
Yeah,
the
I was
retro
looking at
games.
that.
retro games. Is anybody interested in that?
I
It's
looked
like-
through. I looked through the games list.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
The
There's
only good
some-
ones are Star Wars NES games, but
Yeah, there's some Star Wars NES. The Super Star Wars is in there, and some of the arcade games are pretty good. The arcade is one of their bigger lists, but if you go through, they've got like 2 PS1 games. It's like
Yeah.
okay, and they're like,
Like-
something I've never heard of.
there's one of them called like the ZX Spectrum, whatever that
Mhm.
was. I don't know what that was, but it has like 351 games. Like
Right.
that's where all the games are.
Yeah, and Atari's got a lot of Atari games, but the arcade list is pretty impressive. If you go through the arcade list, they got old, they got a lot of Neo Geo games in there, got like Samurai Showdown and Fatal Fury and those kind of games in there. But yeah, for the most part, I looked at it. The price, what was the price, Jasper? Do you remember?
There was, I think, a $30 one, and there's like a $70 one where you get the season pass, whatever that's going to be. So I guess you're gonna add
what-
stuff to it.
You're gonna add stuff to it. So I'll wait because they do have markers up for like Jaguar games and that kind of stuff. So if they bring in more eventually, maybe I would subscribe for
Yeah.
a month and check it out. But I don't know.
I saw those. I saw that. I looked
It's
at the
interesting.
games. a lot of it's like, all right, cool. I can play Burger Time from what it was, the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
And oh look, Atari
2600.
2600,
Yeah.
5800, 7200.
Correct.
It's like a lot of it is just like, what the fuck is this game? I've never heard of this game. I've never heard of this fucking console. The fuck is this? There's like some stuff like there must be either like Japan only, or
They have some DOS stuff in there too. It's like
Here's the more interesting thing to me about this map is that it shows Microsoft. You know, again, we already know because they've had EA Play, they got Ubisoft, but another streaming service, not from one of the big publishers, right? Just another streaming service. They're allowing it into their ecosystem and opening up the borders, right? And saying, hey, come on in. We're all about it. Go ahead, bring your streaming service on in, which we know the other places don't necessarily want to do, right? So I think it is interesting from Microsoft's standpoint, Xbox's showing that openness to do that.
Yeah, that's for
They're not scared.
And you can buy a lifetime license for like the price of a game.
Pretty much.
I think
they have got an option.
60
Yeah,
or
and if you
70
buy a subscription now too, you have the 1 in 10 people who buy a subscription now will be upgraded to a lifetime license too. So you got a chance. It's random, supposedly.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's
play the
a promotion they got
lottery,
going on.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
For which service?
This new
stream.
one, Ant Stream.
I just thought it was gonna be like a game you download. Is it not?
No, it's streaming. It's 100%
okay.
streaming, no downloading whatsoever. So it's all streamed.
That's a
cloud
little
stream.
intriguing, just like if little fuck around games, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, there is some. Like I said, you go through the arcade list, it's pretty cool. They got gold gauntlets in there, got golden axe in there.
I wonder if it's
Cool.
playable
Okay.
like on the cloud, like on xCloud.
No, they are using Azure servers though.
So can you install? Can you download this on your phone as well? Like
I don't believe so, but I guess I
Even
didn't look
xCloud doesn't
specifically.
use Azure servers.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a new partnership. So Sarah
Hmm.
Bond tweeted it out too. I mean, it's a big deal to them. Again, it just shows openness to bring other services in. They don't
Yeah.
care. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I seen John Wolf tweet, hey, Embracer Group, Xbox is gonna want to buy
Yeah.
Tomb Raider back. Thanks for holding our girl.
Yeah, the
They
whole,
close
the
the
whole
deal.
tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a fire sale from Embracer right now. You know.
We talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly, it would make sense. So
Yeah.
they're all working on that. They're working on Xbox games. They got
If
contracts.
you go to their
and
website,
it's
they
different.
list Xbox, Amazon, Windows, Apple, Epic, Google, Android. So apparently it's not. You could, I guess, you just log into whatever their app is on that service you play
Oh,
on.
cool.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if buying the Xbox one only grants you access on the Xbox. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
I would be interested maybe for like little fuck around games, you know, on your phone or whatever. Lulu Chang made a tweet earlier that I wanted to read. The FTC's desperate attempt to block our merger with Microsoft has been denied again, now by the Ninth Circuit. As the House Judiciary Committee highlighted yesterday, Lena Khan has been 0-4 in merger cases. Despite the FTC's waste of taxpayer money on protecting the entrenched market leader, our deal will bring more games to more players and more platforms than ever before. Again, the Activision Blizzard side of their marketing and team and their public relations is like a lot more vicious and savage towards the regulators and stuff so far. And but no lies right there.
They need to make sure to retain Lulu. So
yes.
and I'm not saying I'm not even like a Lulu stan per se. I just appreciate how she is blunt about things,
right?
And how she comes out and she protects what she believes in. And you need strong voices like that. You need positive, strong people, not Bobby Kotick, who can certainly be strong. The dude knows business. There's no question about it. But he's a slime ball and he's a snake. You get rid of him, but you got to maintain some of these people that are really good at what they do over there. And her as chief communications officer, you want her in that position. You want her in that role. You want to continue to have that role because she will be a strong voice for your brand overall underneath this umbrella. I think you definitely need to retain Lulu for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Well, guys. Kate's actually making dinner right now, so she had to step away a while back. But what a day. What a day. What a day. I want to thank everybody in the chat who tuned in, not only for this awesome news today with ABK. It's going to happen. You're right. We're on the final days to closing. The last ditch effort by the FTC has failed. But you're all awesome. Again, thanks for tuning into Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And I do want to get everybody out of here. So you can check out Caitlin on Twitter at Caitlin X0615. That's what it is, right? I'm so horrible. So. I don't even know what it is.
I hope so.
Twitter is. Yes, it's
in the description.
Caitlin X0615. Yeah, I just had to make sure. And then also Caitlin _fancy on TikTok. Check out her cooking videos and all that kind of cool stuff. 3-Bit, thanks for being here, bro. As always, make sure everybody knows where they can find your videos on YouTube.
Yep. Appreciate being here. I think we got up to 400 viewers at once. So everybody in the chat, you guys, the energy is super high right now, and deservedly so. We've been talking about this case for a year now. Congrats to the Microsoft team. They just gotta squash the CMA a little bit, and you know, we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure soon. But yeah, great show, everybody. Love everybody here. You guys are my fam. You guys know. You can find me on Twitter at i3bit. I am starting to make more content again. I did the Console Wars, which we talked about earlier in the show. It's an animated CGI comedy, basically interpretation of the Console Wars. So if I find something funny on Twitter, I'll probably make some animated version of it. So we'll see. Might do another episode very soon. Seeing that as Microsoft closes the case, might do something about that. We'll see. So go check it out on my channel at the Video Games HD on YouTube. Other than that, great show. Love y'all. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Appreciate you, 3-Bit. Psychonauts, where can everybody find you, sir?
Just want to say thanks for all the people in chat coming out tonight and celebrating this 3-year anniversary with us, and this great deal with ABK. You can find me everywhere at Psychonauts8 on social media. Mondays, FSP, and at 10 o'clock, and then here on Fridays at Xbox Ultimate. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you, sir. Appreciate you. Fuzzy Belvedere, the fuzzy one, is going to be the brand new owner of a Corvette once he gets his shares back.
Oh man, it was just awesome being on here with you guys. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys for coming out and watching us. And man, it's time to celebrate. There's going to be a lot to unpack here for the next year or so. But for those that want to hear my endless rambles or rants on anything gaming, just follow me on Twitter or any social media platform at fuzzy_Belvedere or Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word. Catch me and Pong and PTK tomorrow on the Shop Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. And then right back here for FSP on Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Right on, Fuzz. Appreciate you, man. Jasper, what about you, sir?
Yeah. Yo, check it out. Lord Jasper Twitter, Lord Master Jasper YouTube, AI Game News Twitter, all that fun stuff. Then it's Monday and Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Fun Speculation Network with Xbox Ultimate and FSP. That's where I'm at.
Right on, bro.
So yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that, it's pretty funny when like that one guy did say that there's so many fake Xbox fans out there, and you actually run an AI gaming news set.
Yeah. No. But it's everybody. It's not just Xbox.
Yeah, and it's openly AI as well.
Yeah.
Correct.
Pong Soul.
Yes, sir.
Again, the golden age is here.
It is. It is, man. What a time to be doing this, man.
Crazy.
What a time to be enjoying. Like again, from the start, jumping into podcasting was one thing, just talking about this industry, but never knew we we're going to be in the middle of history making deal, like talking about it for a year and a half now, with an absolutely just phenomenal community, right? Again,
Yeah.
just so crazy where you've come from. Again, congrats on the 3 years. I'm so proud and honored to be a part of the Fun Speculation Network and everything that you've built here, Mav, and of course Caitlin as well. Just absolutely incredible. And again, tonight the chat showed up, showed out. Conversations are incredible. We have got some of the best people in here and have from the beginning, and just built upon that. Every show we do, we just have these incredible people who want to come talk just as much as we do, have fabulous ideas and discussions throughout. That's what makes this all special. So thank you all for being here. Fam, love you all. Nothing but respect to each and every single one of you, as always. So you know the drill. Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. And then, of course, tomorrow morning, it's living split screen time. Split screen's all one word. Myself, my brother from another, Steel Rain, will be live, raw, and uncut, as he says, taking that RTS satellite view as we kind of look at the industry. I'm sure Steel and I are going to have some amazing discussions tomorrow about everything that's happened, about what this means going forward for Xbox, for Sony, for everybody involved, even Nintendo. Getting Call of Duty down the road here. This is going to be huge, huge thing that we look back upon, a time when we say this is when the industry shifted in certain ways. So join myself and Steel tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3+ hours. Be there, bring a friend, tell a friend. Mission 1K. We are over 900, on our way to that magic 1,000. So please join us tomorrow morning. And then, like Fuzzy said, tomorrow night, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. Be there. Blam, Fuzzy, myself, and we're going to have 3-Bit and Mav this week as well to share in the celebration. Yes, the Fun Speculation Network in effect again. But we're going to have a great time celebrating this win. A lot to talk about, a lot to cover, bring some different perspectives. But man, the Shop Podcast Saturday night is growing and growing, bigger and bigger. It is the best place to spend it. So be there 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Next week starts all over again. Who knows? Again, Monday could be a gigantic day where they officially announce we're going to be talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not quite over. I mean, it's over, but we still, like Fuzzy said, we got a lot more to discuss. This is going to be a lot to unpack as we go forward. Join us next week. Tuesdays, Xbox Factor Podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick. Congratulations again, Boom. 13K subscribers, huge number for him. Join him on Tuesdays for Xbox Factor. You can join him 5 days a week, but Xbox Factor Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. It's a great place for all good things green. Be there. And then Thursday night, Mav and I, again, we just had a record-setting night last night. Was totally unexpected, blew up. Man, it was a fun time last night. Join us every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, right here for PM and the PM. It is the golden age of gaming, people. There is so much to play right now. It's stupid. Get out there, enjoy your weekend, play what you love what you play. And I'm going to talk to you in about 9 hours. We'll see you then.
Right on, Pong. Thanks as always, man. BigMADMoe, member for 6 months, said congrats on 3 years. Keep it up, bruh. Yeah, appreciate it, bruh. Appreciate it, bruh. Raiden Blade with the £2 super chat says congrats on the 3 years. Appreciate you as well, and everybody who tuned into this show. And we got lots more coming your way in the next week. Monday should be insane. Fun Speculation Podcast, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday back with PM and the PM, and Friday's Xbox Ultimate Podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, you like Pong said, 3-Bit and I will be there on the shop tomorrow with PTK Blam, and it's going to be a blast. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to every week. So make sure you come out there. And another note, Pong Soul and Steel Rain are getting very close to 1K on Living Split Screen on Saturday mornings. So make sure to tune into that show tomorrow morning. Sub to that channel because they're getting so close, guys. It's like they're over 900 now.
Anything special planned for 1,000? Because I know, like before, he said
he's playing like a horror game or something, right?
Yeah,
that was last year.
There'll be a couple things coming up. I think Yobi's got something special planned. If we hit 1,000 too, he's been working Steel in the background. So yeah, we got some things coming for 1,000 for sure. 100%.
Everyone go follow that channel. Amazing conversation.
Brothers, appreciate you
for sure. And then, as always, with the last minute super chat, Booty Hunting CLiCK. Shout out to Vic.
Change your name back, Vic.
Says congrats on 3 years. Beers on me. I appreciate you, bro. And everybody, have a great night. Celebrate this great time to be in the Xbox family, and I hope you have a good one. Peace out.
Well,
Later.